Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Uncivil Law. I'm your host, as always, Uncivil Law. Joined me by my friend and yours. Had a brain tumor, had it removed, is now brain tumor free by the grace of God. Nate, the lawyer. How you doing, Nate?
I'm okay. I have half a brain, but hopefully, I'm still twice as smart as some of the people in the chat.
I know having half your brain removed is the only way some of us can hope to keep up.
What's been going on, bro?
Not much, man. So I was rewatching my replay of my coverage yesterday relating to this ICE incident, rewatching the chat from yesterday, losing its mind because I was like, you know what? On balance, based on the available information, although imperfect, I will admit it's imperfect information, but based on the available information, I think this is murder. And I had a lot of very salty people in my chat because I am Republican, I'm conservative, I'm Trump, I'm pro ICE, I'm pro deportation, I'm pro all these things. Nevertheless, doing the legal analysis, I'm like, in this particular instance, I think he done fucked up, but I don't know. Apparently, I'm not allowed to think that for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's like, well, even if he did done fuck up, it doesn't necessarily change my overall beliefs in the mission. Just this guy screwed up. But apparently that's the wrong think or something. I'm not sure. How's it going on your end, Nate?
I just did the stream with on Laid Back Law with Eric. And it's kind of the same thing. I get a lot of people they don't care about the facts anymore. They don't care about the legal analysis. They just want you to say what makes them feel good. And I'm not in the business making people feel good. When I said Renee Good's shooting was justified, I said it with facts, reason, and evidence, right? We laid it out.
And people fought you to death on that too. You just can't win no matter what you do.
Yes, well, no, they fought us both. They
did fight us both. Yeah. When I said the Renee Good shooting was good, from that ICE agent, people were like questioning you, standing in front, he's doing this. It's a justified shooting. And then you turn around to this shooting, and like, no.
And I gotta apologize. I want to apologize to the fans out there because I, for some reason, mistakenly made you believe that I was some type of shill who's just going to tell you whatever you want to hear.
Apparently, I have the same problem.
Right? You guys thought that because I said Renee Good, that means anything any ICE officer does was going to be good, even if they do some summary executions in the street. You thought that. See, I am the same guy. When the liberals were out there saying, why did Kyle Rittenhouse have a gun at a protest? It's murder because he had a legal, lawful gun at a protest.
Yeah.
And I said, and I was the one that was saying, that makes no sense. That is a stupid argument for stupid people to make who just want to make the kid look guilty. I said that.
I have noticed a couple people who are MAGA, including the FBI director himself, come out and say, well, no one who wants to be lawful at a protest goes to a protest with a gun and two magazines.
The
FBI director, Capital just said that. I'm like, wait a second. What happened to the Second Amendment? I thought it's like, wait, we don't believe in the Second Amendment. We don't believe in being able to go to a protest with a gun anymore. What are we doing now? What side are we on now?
He should be in jail for the rest of his life. That's what they're saying. That's what these idiots are saying. Kyle Rittenhouse should be in jail because he brought a lawful gun to a protest.
Yeah. So, the FBI director just said that. I've seen other MAGA people say the same thing. There are MAGA people online. I watch the Twitters and the things and social media, and there have been a few MAGA people who are like, this person had a gun. He had a gun at a protest. I'm like, what side of this are you on again? Are you even listening to yourselves anymore?
I know there's a lot of lefties out there. Soon as the lefties start bringing up gun, I'm like, gun? I'm like, are you? And then people get upset. No, I'm a 2A advocate. So what the hell are you saying then? This guy had a lawful gun. Oh, he didn't have his ID with him. How the cops know that? Matter. It's like, and just because he didn't have, so now we're gonna parse it out. It's literally insane. The fact of the matter is that when you look at this video, the cops literally are the ones who escalated. They went and literally pushed this woman down. Like when it was funny because at the beginning of the video, when the cop goes and pushes the woman down, somebody was like, oh, you see, the guy intervened. So that means, I'm like, well, what the hell is he pushing her down for? What type of arrest is that?
I don't know. See, like this is where we don't have enough information. And at least for me, I'm willing to just give it all to ICE because it's not going to influence my analysis later. So I'm just going to give it all to them because we don't know. So I'm just going to give it to them. I'm going to assume that, there's a valid, legitimate reason for the federal law enforcement officers to be doing the things we see in the first instance because we don't know. We don't know. But I'm just going to assume they were doing a lawful thing. Maybe the people they were trying to interact with were obstructing in some way, or maybe they were doing some other unlawful thing to interfere. I'm just going to assume the predicate because it's not going to matter later. So I'll give it to ICE so I can move on to the next step.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
my whole thing is that listen, this is to me this is simple. This is just simple. The simple fact is that I think people need to understand every case you have to judge on its own merits, without the politics, without the BS.
Sure.
And I think, and I am making arguments that this could be lawful. This could be justified. It could be lawful but awful. But I am also making the argument that based on what we have now in front of us, this is, I think any reasonable person who is honest with the facts will not come to the conclusion this was a justified shooting.
No. The probability assessment, because it's a probability, because we don't have enough information to be conclusive. We're not saying beyond a reasonable doubt. Neither one of us is saying that.
No.
I'm saying at least that the probability, in between the two of justified, non-justified, I'm saying non-justified is the better analysis given what we know. Now that might ultimately pan out to not be true. It turns out to be justified for reasons that are not readily apparent. But of course, all I can do, and all you can do for that matter, is judge based on what you can see and observe. If you start having to hypothesize, things that you can't see into existence to make the shooting lawful, it's like you have a problem. Now, like, for example, earlier I said I'm going to hypothesize a valid reason for ICE to start this in the first place. And you say, well, you just hypothesized it. I'm like, yes, I hypothesized it, but I'm hypothesizing it in ICE's favor because it's not going to matter on the back end. Because if they don't have a legitimate reason, then they're even more fucked.
You're conceding the point.
So it doesn't influence my analysis later. If ICE is illegitimate in the first instance, they're super fucked. If they're legitimate in the first instance, they're going to be fucked for reasons that I'm going to describe later. So it doesn't matter. So I'll concede the point now. But if you need to hypothesize things into existence to, make this lawful, you might be having a bit of a problem. They could be true, but we can't speculate completely wildly. We have to make reasonable assumptions, people. Based on what we can see.
Are you joking? We got to make reasonable assumptions?
Reasonable assumptions.
Reasonable.
The things could be not what they appear to be. The video isn't perfect. It's not the best video of all time.
Nah, this is a pretty bad video.
Whatever. Moving on.
Well, all right. So let's play it. Let's see what we got here. All right, so this is our boy with the camera, right? The guy's about to get killed. That's him.
Yep.
And these are the two women who are with him, right? Where we got that. Now, I just want to make it very clear. At this point, blowing whistles and standing and screaming at police isn't really a federal crime, not where you can lock federal officers to be locking people up. The officers can also leave, too, it seems like. They're not being boxed in.
Go. What the fuck is wrong with you?
This idiot takes the camera off the action. So, all right, so he has his hand around this first woman, right?
Yeah.
All right, so because allegedly, if you heard the thing, he said, don't push her into traffic. So I'm assuming the person was pushed, but again, since I don't have the angle, I'm not going to assume that because I would like to see it. But that's what was said. If don't push her into oncoming traffic. So it seems like the officer pushed her.
What's wrong with you?
Let me go back a little bit so we can hear it. hey, do not push them into the traffic. So that's what was said. And I want to go back to this. So the officer, if you zoom in, he's actually about to get in the car. If you zoom in a little bit more, it looks like the officer is about to get in the car and then turns around, and then that's when this altercation happens. But let's continue.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
All right, that push. What was that? Now, generally, officers can use force to effectuate an arrest. They can't just push random people in the street, right? Down and down. So, what was this officer doing? Was he trying to effectuate an arrest on that woman?
Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm
Exactly.
willing to concede a lot here. It doesn't really look great for ICE in the first instance, to be honest. If I'm being fully honest, it doesn't really look great for ICE because it looks like ICE is, I don't know, because it doesn't look like the officers are boxed in. It looks like they can move around, so it doesn't look like they're doing. If they're doing something illegal, it would be illegal under state law. It doesn't appear to require a federal response, but I'm going to concede the point.
Let's concede it.
So I can move on with my life to the next step of the analysis. But no, it doesn't look great in the first instance either.
I'm saying, unless you could tell me that officer's about to arrest that woman and he needed to push her down to effectuate that arrest, he's just committed assault. That's what I'm saying. And I don't believe that was necessary. I think that was excessive. Now they're spraying everybody. Can you make yours bigger? Let me see if I can make mine.
Yeah, I can make it. I can change Let
me see if I can pull this and zoom in. All right, I can zoom in. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I got it.
Border Patrol? Fine. Border Patrol, not
Border
us.
Patrol,
Same difference. Fine.
It is Border Patrol. He's trying to help her up. They're pulling him down.
The fuck, people? The fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
Now, boy, right here, he sees the gun after the jacket goes up. So if you look, he's gonna go grab the pistol.
Yeah, that's.
Talk to me. Going back.
I mean, it looks like that officer. That looks like to me, the officer is the one that fires that first shot.
If that's the case, this is murder. Pull gun. Looks like that guy did fire that first shot. Camera goes away. Let's do a cleanup view, a cleaned up view of this. This is an enhanced view. This is an enhanced view, so let's look at this one.
The first shot came from the P320. How do you know that, Tree Camper? I'm willing to accept that as possible, but how do you know that?
Honestly.
So now they're going in, digging in. Here's the guy on the floor. This guy pulls out his gun, points the gun at the guy. Now we hear the first shot. Now, was the first shot at the guy or was the first shot? Because they say it's the. So that's where the split is now. Some people are saying it was when the guy removed his gun and started running away, his gun misfired, and that's what caused everybody else to be in fear and shoot. Now, if that's the case, I would say that's a clean shoot because it's mistake. You have just
no. I don't even think I'd concede it at that point, to be honest. Because the officer would have no basis to believe the shot is coming from the suspect on the ground. He's looking right at him. He would, even if he heard a gunshot, he would have no reason to believe it's the person that he's currently interacting with who fired that shot. He would have no cause to fire the shot at that person.
I disagree. I think number one, just because you have one gun taken away doesn't mean you don't have another gun or another weapon. And then I'll say also and generally, if you have one gun, it makes us even more suspicious that you may have other weapons on you. But number two, it's if you're wrestling with somebody says gun, so that means the guy has a gun, and then you hear a gunshot. I think a reasonable person would think the gunshot is coming from the suspect, and then we return fire to the suspect. Like
not given the distances that are involved, the guy's looking right at him. He's standing 2 feet away from him. He's looking right at him. It's not like there's no reason to think can he see a gun? Does he see a gun in this guy's hand? I mean, what basis does he believe that the threat is the guy he shot? What is his basis for reasoning
gunshot?
that?
The
Yeah,
gunshot.
but why does he believe that that gunshot's coming from the guy he's looking at?
Because
he's
somebody's
looking right at him.
Because someone said he has a gun.
But he's looking
Someone
right
says,
at him, Nate.
Yeah, I can be looking at somebody says he has a gun, and then you hear a gunshot. I'm thinking the person who all the cops are saying has the gun is the one that made the shot.
But you don't see a gun in his hand or see anything else. So
you have to.
there.
So you're saying you have to see the gun. I don't think so. I think you can use all your senses, your ears, I think a reasonable officer wrestling this guy, they say he has a gun. I think if that first shot is from the 6 hour, then I think you can make the argument that these officers thought this guy was firing the gun, thought he was firing a gun.
He's standing a foot away from the guy.
I think you're making it's the gun robbery fallacy. Not a fallacy, but it's the gun robbery mistake. Most of the time in gun robberies, it was like from store clerks and stuff. When the person comes into the store, puts the gun in the face and take all the money, you ask the person, give me a description of the person. The first thing a lot of the times, the person say, I don't know what the person looked like. Only thing I could focus in on was the gun. And usually extreme situations, that's what happens. They can describe the gun, but they can't describe the person who's holding the gun.
Great. If he can describe the gun, gun he saw, then that'd be fantastic.
Yes, but I'm saying in certain situations, you can't you are in tunnel vision. You're only looking at one thing. You're not looking at the whole situation. Now, if you're saying just because he didn't see a gun, you can hear gunshots but don't see a gun, and you can't return fire, I just disagree. I just fundamentally disagree with that. I don't think you have to see the gun to be able to return fire. I believe you have enough evidence where he says they say he has a gun. Other cops are saying gun, gun, gun. They see, or the other cops see a gun. They're wrestling this guy, and then you hear a gunshot. I don't see how you can then not account that to. It's more than likely, again, reasonable to believe this guy's the one firing. I thought you were going to read the super chat. Sorry.
No, I'm just putting them on screen because I don't want to interrupt you. I've put 3 on screen so far, so I didn't interrupt you.
But again, we can disagree with that though. But I would say if it was that other gun that fired first, then I don't think this is murder. I think this is lawful but awful, and I think it's civilly. But if that gun didn't fire and it was the officer who shot him first, which you said before, I think you get murder. I don't think it's justified at that point in time.
So someone said there might be another angle that shows that it was the 6 hour that fired.
Oh,
is that true? Because that might be slightly informative.
Somebody sent me something earlier. So what we were looking for, they should sent me recall of the 6 hour.
Well, I know that pistol has had problems with it. If it is that 6 hour, yeah, the fact that it has problems with it with accidental random firings, I'm well aware of that with that particular pistol. But just because that's true of that pistol, what is the evidence that is what occurred here? If they have a shot, if they have a video that shows that the gun discharged, I'd be happy to see that so that I can have a more informed opinion.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now. Hold on. I'm just picking it up. Somebody did send me that video earlier, so I want to make sure I give it good justice. Where's that?
But I'm also interested in this as a person who lawfully carries a firearm. I lawfully carry a firearm sometimes. I know you lawfully carry a firearm sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I lawfully carry a firearm doesn't mean I can be shot. Just because I go to a protest with a lawfully carried firearm doesn't mean I can be shot. And just because someone yells gun doesn't mean that someone can shoot me unless I'm posing a threat.
Yes.
That's not how that's supposed to work. You can't yell gun and then, oh, he had a gun on him. That's not how that works.
Yeah, I agree.
If it was how it worked, then the Second Amendment is dead.
Well, again, right? I think you have to remove all relevant context for your last analogy, right? You'd have to lose the context of them in a situation where multiple people trying to arrest, they see a gun on them, somebody screams gun, not all the officers can see gun, they're still trying to get them under control, and then at one moment they hear a gunshot.
Don't step into a middle of federal operation with a firearm. Why not? If I'm lawfully present, guys, if I'm lawfully present at a place I have a right to be, just because the feds are nearby doesn't mean that I don't also have the right to be there. If I'm lawfully present with a firearm, which I lawfully have the right to carry, that's lawful. It doesn't mean you can shoot me unless I do something unlawful.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, what the fuck are we talking about in chat? You guys are yeah.
So hold on. So what are they saying?
They're saying some bullshit about like don't go into a federal operation. I'm like, but if I'm in a place where I have the lawful right to be and I'm lawfully carrying, then I'm lawful.
So what do you say? I can't walk on a public street because they're doing it with my lawfully obtained exercise of my Second Amendment right?
Yeah.
You got a lot of liberals in that, man. These are Biden voters we got here. It's like he has the gun is lawful. Like, all right, I understand. Listen, Kyle Rittenhouse had a lawful gun.
Right. And even if I'm breaking the law, even if I'm breaking the law, it doesn't necessarily mean the police get the right to shoot me either. Just because I have a gun doesn't mean the police get to shoot me either. So if I decide to go into the middle of the road and start blocking traffic, if I decide to, I don't know, what else am I doing this day? I don't know. Even if I decide to hit the police officer, that with just non-lethal force, right? Just because I have a gun on me, right? If I hit the police officer, he has every right to hit me back, detain me, arrest me, but he can't shoot me. Not unless there's a deadly threat.
Yeah, if the gun is holstered and it's not
there are rules, man. There are rules.
You have a gun. Bah. Good. Your gun must be. No. When did again, like I keep saying, I know I'm maybe too conservative for a crowd, but I believe in the Second Amendment. And I believe Kyle Rittenhouse had every right to take his legal gun to that protest. And I think this man had every legal right to take his gun to this protest. And if you want to prove me wrong, you know what you do? You go and say, I want to overturn the Second Amendment. Yeah. That's your gag. But I believe
someone in chat says no permit, no gun. Well, I'd like to introduce you to Texas and about 20 other states. At this point, constitutional carry is a thing. I don't know about Minnesota, but it's like no permit. No, I don't need a permit.
But in Minnesota, they said the gun was legal.
Yeah, but in Texas, I don't even need a permit.
Yeah, and in Texas, you don't need a permit. But there they said the gun was legal. So
it's great.
I don't.
That's great.
So, matter of fact, if we go scream, and then if you scream at the federal officials now, they can lock you up for 10 years.
Kurt sounds like a lefty. People are saying Kurt sounds like a lefty.
Kurt, you're a lefty because you believe in gun rights.
This is a new and interesting development. This is a new interesting development. Apparently, by my saying, yes, I believe in the Second Amendment, and I believe that people have the right to carry, and I believe that they can do it lawfully and lawfully carry. Apparently, now this makes me a lefty. This is a fun and exciting world we live in now. This is great.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
This is exciting.
They should go lock Kyle Rittenhouse up, man. He took a lawful gun to a rally and killed someone. It doesn't matter any what happened, right? He took a lawful gun, to a protest and killed someone. He should be doing life in prison. That's how dumb this argument is. But again, if you're, again, I'm a Second Amendment guy, so I understand a lot of these people in the audience aren't Second Amendment people. They are, they want to take all the guns and all that. That's just not me. That's not me. I'm sorry, guys. I've gone too far.
The pro Kyle Rittenhouse, pro shooting of Miss Good, this is definitely the lefty vibes over here.
I'm a Second Amendment guy. Yeah. I'm an active member.
I'm not even an NRA Life member. I'm above that. Because I give them even more. Yeah, I give them even more money. I'm like a patron or whatever it is. Because I ascended.
I got to re-up
beyond.
I do like the magazine because they gave me the magazine a book back, so I need to re-up. But no, I'm a 2A guy. So if you're telling me take the guns and all that, I understand. I know the people in this chat may be a little liberal and say take all the guns. We don't give a damn about the Second Amendment. Kyle Rittenhouse should be, in prison because he took a lawful gun to a protest. Okay, if that's your bag. Let's just admit it, and that's it. I'm just a little bit more conservative than that. I believe the Second Amendment is a constitutional right, and I believe this gentleman was exercising that constitutional right. That's just what it is. Here we go. Boom. Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna go here. So after the gun is taken, so you're thinking this guy shot him.
Yeah, that's what it kind of looked like to me initially.
They search it. So that's the first shot. Now I'm gonna mute it for the other. No, I'm not gonna mute it. I just. So the other shots are coming. So the first. Now it looks like he shot after the first one. So boom. So you hear the first shot. I think you're right. Because look, because he goes limp after the first shot, and then there's another volley of shots. And look at him. He's essentially limp then.
I hope the person who said at least learn the Second Amendment before you try to twist it to fit into your narrative. Really? Do you want me to cite it?
Yeah. What are they talking about?
Oh, no,
Again,
someone's chat said learn the Second Amendment.
You got.
I hope you're not talking to me.
You got to get these liberals out of here, bro. It's like this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, guy, girl, whatever. Yeah. I believe that I am allowed to have a firearm in the United States as a constitutional right. And if I have my firearm on me, if police know that I have a firearm, they are not allowed to kill me because I attended a protest. They are not allowed to kill me because I have the firearm. They only are allowed to return fire.
Everyone in chat, raise your hand if you actually know Dick Heller personally. Yeah.
And I'd also say this. Just because I have a firearm doesn't mean you
now
can
chat's trying to figure now chat's busy trying to figure out who's Dick Heller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, because it's don't get me wrong. We understand. Myself and the civil understand.
Yeah, some people are some people are saying who?
Yeah. Yeah, we understand. You guys don't give a damn about the facts, some of you, right? You don't give a damn about what we say. You don't give a damn about what happened here. It's all this is good because it's ice and it fits my political agenda. I understand it. I'm for it. That's why I can say, Babbitt was just her killing was justified. That's why I can say Renee Good's killing was justified. Why? Because I am not a shill. I can look at the facts and apply the evidence toward the facts, right? Here's the evidence, here's the facts. All right, here we go. In this case, that's the same thing we're doing too. If you don't like the reason why, if you have some evidence to show me what my reasoning is wrong, I'll accept that. But just saying, well, I feel bad, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. And again, like what I'm saying is that in this particular case, I think me and Kurt disagree. And I think the place we disagree with is if this officer fired that first shot, I think it's murder. If he didn't, I would say he has an argument. What say you, Kurt?
Well, if he did fire the first shot, I agree it's murder. If he didn't, I still think he has to have a objective basis to believe that the danger is coming from the place that he's firing the gun. You have to have both the subjective and objective facts necessary to believe that that what you're shooting at is the deadly threat. And so if he didn't see a gun or other weapon in his hand or some other furtive movement if he didn't see anything, then why is he pulling the gun? Why is he pulling the trigger? And there doesn't seem to be a basis. So yeah, I unless he can say the objective basis, then I don't think just because someone else shot first, that means suddenly it's all clear for everyone else to start shooting. That doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah. Oh, some people are saying they like Bronca's tape. I don't know. What is his take? Should we watch Bronca to see what he's saying?
Sure.
Everybody says, yeah, let's watch Bronca. Let's see what he's saying.
Sure. Let's see what Bronca has to say. This should be insightful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and so I'm going to be very clear. Bronca, a lot of the times, especially with police shootings, gets it ridiculously wrong. Not the conclusions. He just doesn't know how to analyze it. See, Bronca's making the mistake a lot of times of analyzing civilian self-defense with law enforcement use of force. They are two separate things. And some of the differences may not be as readily apparent. For instance, civilian self-defense, civilians generally cannot initiate force, right? You have to kind of respond to force. That's what's called self-defense. Where in a law enforcement capacity, law enforcement officers actually are authorized to use force. That's what we call it, the use of force continuum. So by being authorized to use force, they're saying you can only use it under these conditions. So on one, you can't use force, and the other one, you can use force. So the officers are affirmatively using force. The second, the standard. The standard in a civilian context is what would a reasonable person do. The standard in a law enforcement context is what would a reasonable officer do. With the
Yeah, but I don't think
training.
there's as much daylight between those two things as perhaps you suggest. But perhaps you think there's more daylight.
Oh
between those
yeah,
two things.
because one is not trained. One goes through 6 months to a year training. The other one doesn't. One is taught the law. The other one is not. One is given the authority to. Yeah, so there is a lot of difference between what an officer can do in itself versus that there is a huge difference because we're talking about essentially 6 months worth of training, experience, and all that type of stuff. And that's why you always hear the magic words, based on my training and experience. That's what all cops say. So
yeah.
They
learned it like a mantra.
It's a huge set of daylight because your training experience matters. And again, what a reasonable officer would do can sometimes be very different than what a reasonable person would do who wasn't trained. That's why Graham is so specific on a reasonable officer standard, not a reasonable person standard.
Yeah. Well, let's see what Bronca said, and then we'll make fun of him.
No, he may be right. He may change my mind. He may change my mind. I don't know. But I'm saying, if he does, like for instance, if he doesn't mention Graham v. Connor, then he's got to. If you're doing any police breakdown, what's the number one case, especially in the federal level? You have to mention Graham.
Graham v. Connor's number one.
There's no way you could do a breakdown without mentioning Graham v. Connor. So let's play it.
Are you asking me? I thought you had it loaded and we're going to bring it up.
That's what you were looking for.
No, okay, I'll bring it. All right.
Yeah, because you were the one to run everything, right?
I got it.
Yeah, bring that bad boy up. And then we can look at Legal Eagles crime video. I did see that.
I did see it. It was pretty horrible. He's doing okay. Let's see what he got. He got a Trice Chumps. Okay. I have to figure out lawful force. Is this from 23 hours ago? I think this is the one that they're talking about. Let's go with this.
All right. Listen, you know what? This guy says what? Andrew Bronca knows exactly what? What? You know what? Knows exactly what he's talking.
I don't know if I can play audio because I'm not inside of Chrome.
I can do it. Hold on, because you were able to hear the audio I just played, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it.
You have to do it because I'm not inside Chrome, so I can't share the audio tab.
Don't worry, I got it.
No worries.
I got it.
Oops.
Nah. 1, 2, 3.
Illegal Eagle did a very big cry video. Wherein he seems to be suggesting for civil war, if I parsed it correctly. He seems to be suggesting some yeah.
All right, so he's doing this is it's 2.5 hours, legal expert. I'm making sure it's the right one. Yeah. So it's 2.5 hours.
I'm also a life member of the Second Amendment Foundation. I got that going for me.
And I'm gonna share this screen. Second Amendment Foundation.
Yeah, which is even better group than NRA these days.
Oh, yeah, this one. All right, so this is Bronca. He may change my mind. I want to be open to the fact that he could change my mind, but again, he would have to, he has to at least use the right law in cases and things of that nature. I don't know what he's going to say. Yeah. So here we go. Oh.
Ever since they lost Cox ahead of ILA, NRA's just not been the same.
There it is. I'm sharing it, but it doesn't seem like I'm sharing it.
I'm working it.
Oh, sorry. All right, that's it. Here we go. So he gives us intro. Let's see what he goes into. All right, so let's do it.
For all of you. So full disclosure, because this is Grok, Grok has really imperfect information. So I present this not as something that should be accepted as truth, but as something that was put together by an AI based on information on the internet.
I like that.
Grok summary of this shooting.
You turn it up at all?
Quoting Grok now.
Yeah.
51-year-old or 37-year-old in some reports, Minneapolis resident believed, and I don't know, they don't say why we should believe this, but believed to be a U.S. citizen, lawful gun owner with a permit to carry. That sounds to me like propaganda based on nothing, but we'll see. Was fatally shot by federal agents, including those from ICE, in Minneapolis. According to DHS, the man approached agents armed with a firearm, including 2 magazines, presumably 2 spare magazines. The gun comes, by the way, I believe, with 3 magazines. We'll get into the specific model of gun. Violently resisted and attempted to disarm an officer, prompting the shooting in self-defense. You think trying to disarm an officer will get you shot?
Did you see him trying to disarm an officer on that video?
I did not.
So it almost, to be honest with you guys, it's kind of sounding like he's starting off lying right now about the facts. Like this sounds like a lie from what we see, but he may not know. He may not know because he seems like he's questioning. Like, yeah, this is not starting off good. This is not starting off good.
Pretty much.
It would get you shot, though. He's right.
Witness videos and reports show federal agents wrestling the individual to the ground before multiple shots were fired. The man was pronounced dead at the scene or shortly after. The incident occurred as part of Operation Metro Surge.
Apparently, this is not the
shooting
video they were
prompted immediate
referring to.
clashes between protesters.
Okay, let's
Chat's complaining that this is super early. Apparently,
okay. So you know what I'll do?
There's a later video they want.
Oh, okay. All right. So what I'll do is let me find the latest video. All right. So this one, I'm looking for it. He has a 14-minute one. All right. So what I'm gonna share this one then. This 14-minute one. So I'm sharing this one, guys. And here you go. Boop. And the boop. There it is. All right, here we go. From the beginning.
Struggle begins. He's being dragged down, trying to compel compliance. Strikes, open palm strikes to the face. There.
Those not open palm. He has the canister.
See the hands open.
It's a bad angle, so that's
not being punched. Trying to compel compliance. The guy who's crouched over under that silver bar, he's going to straighten up. This is when the shot is fired, right here. And I don't see that elbow prior to this point. This is when the shot is fired. And then go a few seconds more. There's the elbow. That image with the crooked elbow occurs, I believe, after this image, occurs after the shot, the first shot has been fired.
Oh, fuck! They killed me!
You see the guy who's not all the way to the left, but he's kind of bent over there. He's right by that vertical silver bar in the windows. That guy, he straightens up here. And right then,
this guy,
and he's got a gun in his hand. Right then is the first gunshot. And then there's a slight pause, and there's a flurry of shots after that. So that could have implications for what happens. I hear rumors that this cop's pulling away with that gun, holding it out to the right, away from the suspect as he is, because that may be the suspect's gun. This says person.
Well, we now know that is the suspect's gun because we have the video of him actually taking it from him. So that is the suspect's gun.
Shot in Minneapolis today by Border Patrol pulled the gun beforehand. The man also had 2 loaded magazines. This is a still frame from the video. I noticed this too. This is the suspect here, the lower body here, just below that letter N on the window. That's the suspect. And you can see his elbow is crooked as if he's reaching for his waistband. So that looks bad. A shot has already been fired at this point, I believe. Now, this account says you can see a gun sticking out of the back.
Well, hold on. Just want to see because I have that full angle. Remember, we have that angle actually, and good thing. So we can actually fact check what he's saying, right? After the shot, he seems like he's reaching for something. So we can see exactly what happens right after the shot. So let's see. Let's test this out. All right. So here is this. So I'm going to now share this screen because this is where this video is at. All right, so this is now on the Bronco screen. I'm going to share this one instead. Boop. I got to go back here so we can see this. And we were about, let's make sure we are at the right spot. So we're about here with the shooting. And the guy has the gun in the background. So we see the guy in the background with the gun. Let me make sure. So that's the first shot, and the first shot looks like it hits him now. So let me pull it out to show you. Let me go back. Go back. Probably blow it up here. So now he wasn't open palm strikes. He has to get something in his hand. This guy pulls up the gun. That's the first shot, right? First shot. Now he looks like he's already going down. You see how his head's to the side and everything?
Yep, that's what I think. That's why.
So he's like this. So if he's already been shot and he's grabbing for a gun,
yeah, it looks like he's already been shot. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, let's roll it back because we may be wrong. Everybody keeps telling us to go see Bronca, but Bronca's, it looks like he's already been shot. Playback speed. Let's do 5%. Yeah, let's do this.
Quarter.
Yeah, because we're going to zoom in all the way in, and I want to make sure we get it where we can. So here we go. That's the first shot. Now they're still pulling down. First shot goes off.
And looks,
he's shot. He's shot.
And
he's not reaching for nothing in front of him. Look, his hands are. He's falling forward.
He's not reaching for anything.
This is the legal analysis you guys are pointing us to. Let's continue. This is what they point us to. You can see. Maybe he didn't have this angle. Let me be fair. Yeah, he's nothing in his hands. He's not reaching for anything. This is what they point us to. I don't see him reaching for anything. He's falling, and his gun's already been taken away. I don't know. All right, let's continue with Bronca then. Maybe.
Guys, it could be something other than it appears. Guys, I'm not look, I'm not trying to say anything absolutely definitively. I'm just trying to say what it looks like to me.
Yeah, you guys
what it looks like. Okay, it could be other than it appears. It could be the SIG went off or something else, or like, but it's just this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, but and again, we're just checking. You guys told us to watch this. You guys told us to watch, and we're watching it. And if we can verify what he's saying this shows the guy's reaching.
And then even if it was the SIG that went off first, this is where Nate and I might depart, because Nate would say, well, if it was, I think Nate is saying if the SIG went off first, then he's willing to say probably then it might be okay for the officer. And I'm like, I don't think so, because even if the SIG went off first, the officer would still have to have some reason to believe that the threat was in front of him. And unless he could see a gun, unless he saw something, he would have no basis to believe that that was the source of the deadly threat. So even if the SIG went off first, I still think he's probably guilty. So it doesn't really do that much for the analysis for me either. But, if you want to argue Graham v. Connor and argue why I'm wrong under Graham v. Connor, we could have that discussion too.
Yeah, I'm all for the Graham v. Connor, because that's so. But I haven't heard his legal explanation yet. But again, okay. I think his facts are a little
back of the guy's jacket, and an officer pulls it away. Can you see that in this image? Because I don't see that in this image.
See what?
Her video was posted. Does anybody have a link? Because I don't jacket. Now, this account says you can see a gun sticking out of the back of the guy's jacket. And
so he's looking at. So I want to be fair. I have that video. So he's talking about this video.
You're telling me that you can see a gun? I don't know, man.
Yeah, in the back of his jacket, you can. It's a video. I have the video. So his jacket comes up, and you can see the gun. When his jacket comes up, you can see the video in the back of his jacket. I'm trying to see if I can find it. This is the one. This is the one. All right. Put it here so we can switch screens here. All right. And share the screen instead and put this over here. Okay, here we go. So this is from the Washington Post, I think. So this is the same video we were watching. And if you look, when his jacket comes up, you can see the gun holster and the guy in the gray grab it. So I'm just going to play this. You see? And you can see that's the gun removed. The gun.
All right, wait. Show me again. Show me again.
All right, here we go. So you see the cop pulling the gun? Let me pull back. Let me see right here. The gun's here, and he's pulling it. And I'll play it in real speed. And he removes the gun with the gun. Let me pull this down. Yeah, he removes the gun with the holster.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Oh, yeah.
So I got like 3 pixels. So I'll take your word for it.
I'm blowing it out.
Okay.
And I'll move. I'm just playing it forward from here.
All right. So they remove the gun.
And then they even slow it, and you can see it.
I can see a holster now. That's for sure. So I'll take. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, fair enough.
All right. So yeah, see, the gun comes out when he pulls back, the cop. So he does have a gun on his right side, and they pull it out. All right. So now it's back to Bronca. So we do see it, but not from this angle. To be fair to Bronca.
Okay. Just waiting on you, man. You're the one controlling the room, remember?
This is the video. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay. Does anybody have a link? Okay, so this in this image. Her video is posted. Does anybody have a link? Okay, so this is the video. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay, somebody shoved somebody. Neither one of those look like ice. There's a shove, and then it looks like the same person who shoved looks like they're deploying pepper spray at that tall dude's face. That tall dude may be the guy with the gun. Watch it again. We get the shove, pepper spray. Here's ice coming in now. The woman's back on the ground. It almost looks like the guy who got shot is. It almost looks like the guy who got shot is with the woman who got shoved.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it does
He's
look
got
like
his
that.
arm around somebody there. Then the woman who gets shoved is to the left, and the woman who shoves her has got the light-colored cap on to the right. Comes in. There's the shove.
Now I do want to say this: there's no way this shove is legit.
No, it's hard to believe it is. There's no
Nah.
real cause for it that I can see.
But this and as you see, he ignores that totally. He ignores this. This is an unjustified use of force, even though it's minor in the whole scheme of things. That's bullshit. You're not supposed to be doing that.
Total accidental shooting. Go watch the guy put out Langley Outdoors. Well, we'll see if we get around to it.
Tall man intervenes, gets sprayed in the face again, bends
is
over to
okay.
help the woman up. He's helping her up. She slips,
More
falls
pepper spray.
again. He goes down on his hands and knees. Looks like he's still trying to help her up. Looks like he's being grabbed by the woman who pepper sprayed him. And now ice begins to come in.
Okay.
It looks like ice may have just been coming in to break up this fracas. But while everyone's wrestling,
Maybe.
they're wrestling with the guy who gets shot. These are all ice here. The guy in the middle with the grayish colored jacket, I think he's the guy who's going to stand up, and then we'll hear the gunshot. Like he may have taken a gun off the victim here. He stands up, and I think that's when the gunshot is. And everyone jumps back, and the police draw their own guns and start shooting. And then the camera goes off frame. All right, I'll run through the whole thing now.
That's
and
right.
see what we can make
So
of it.
let's pull up
Guys,
this
gonna
video this
stand
other guy
up in the
said,
mid-
because let's pull up this video that the other guy said. This
What video?
This Langley Outdoors total accident shooting by Langley Outdoors Academy. Someone's insisting that apparently this will clear everything up. So
Langley Outdoors. So hold on. So that's what we're doing. Is it on YouTube or am I looking at?
I assume
Twitter?
so.
Langley, Langley, Langley Outdoors Academy. All right, new footage. What happened? Is it because he's got a couple of videos on this? The newest one, the oldest one. What are we talking about? The one. All right, I'm going to just go with this one. Share screen. I'm assuming
Okay.
this is the one we're talking about.
Let's give this a shot and see if this reveals anything.
All right, this is 11 minutes. So
This all of it for the gun world. I would say that I'm an expert in this field.
okay.
Okay.
The newest
As we
one,
go through these
this is not-
things, I've
this is
pieced
it?
these videos together.
This is not it.
I was just asking chat because someone said the newest one. This is it.
This
All right,
is
let's.
well. Let me just before we get into it, because I'd rather. Oh shoot! I hit the wrong button. All right. No, this is it. This is a live stream. All right.
All right, this is it. All right, fine. We'll watch this.
Oh, this is it.
Okay, great. Let's do it. All right,
Oh,
all right,
all right.
we'll watch this.
Sorry. All right. Here we go.
To show you what has actually occurred, at least in my opinion, and you guys can let me know what you think in the comments field below. But I want to show you this because I have seen no one do this or catch what I'm about to show you.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. First of all, this is about to blow up the internet. You're about to see video after video after video, probably around this topic, okay? Alex Pretty's SIG handgun has history of accidentally firing, offering possible clue to why border agents shot him. Now, I'm not going to touch this. I cannot prove it. I was not there. This is my hypothesis and theory, and I'm going to supplement it by showing you the clips that I pieced together for you. But I bet you're going to see a whole lot of this. I'm not touching it, okay? All right, let's keep on going because I can't prove it. What I want to show you right now is something that is incredibly crucial, and it's around a concept called contagious gunfire, which is then combined with standard law enforcement practice, which is combined with protest activity. Okay? And this isn't even really protest. I would call this obstructionist activity. Someone mentioned in one of my posts, it's peaceful assembly is the right, and that is correct. This is not peaceful assembly. But anyway, let's keep on going. I want you to pay attention to the guy in the gray at the center of this frame. This is an agent. Gray baseball cap, gray jacket. Okay? He is the one that takes away the gun. The guy did have a gun. He did. Objectively, he had a gun.
Okay.
And when he takes away this gun, they yell, gun. That's standard process.
Law enforcement process. Yep.
They grab the gun and remove it from the fight. I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to kill the audio because you don't need the audio, but I'm going to walk you through this. Because for the gun,
we already saw that.
They cried gun, he pulled the firearm.
I'm moving fast forward it.
You're watching what some are saying right there, him grabbing towards his waistband for that gun. I can't verify that. I can't verify intent. But what I can tell you is that same gray agent, from Washington Post, picked out part of this. They didn't pick out the most important part, but they picked out part of this. Here's the exact same video dubbed over with a circle showing you what I just tried to show you. Again, remember, that gray, irrefutable at this point.
We just saw that.
The gun is removed, and then as he's moving forward, that agent right there pulls the gun out, and he is disarmed, and he starts walking away. That gun is no longer on that person. That gun. I can't tell you anything else. I'm telling you that gun. That gun is removed. That is the SIG P320, which everyone is getting all paying attention to, getting all up in a bluster about. The gun was removed right there. You can see it. But now it gets interesting because there's a term in the gun world called contagious gunfire. Contagious gunfire is something that when you hear a gunshot, you are automatically inclined to react to that gunshot. And if you have a gun in your hand, you're supposed to override the ability or the impulse to fire your gun. I'm not saying anyone did anything wrong in this contagious gunfire perspective. What I'm trying to illustrate a point, right? When you're on a gun range and someone fires a gun and you're ready to go down range, you have the impulse to do it too. That is a well-known thing, okay? But anyway, this is the other angle of that exact same gray agent, and I'm getting to the meat of this. Watch.
Okay.
That same gray agent, you see, he's just disarmed. It's the other angle of what I just showed you. He has the gun in his right hand, and he is walking away. And that is the instance right then that he's moving away, and that's when the shooting happens. All right, I want to...
Okay, so is there anything that we disagree with at this point?
Not so far.
It seems like everything you say, I'm agreeing with.
Zoom in on that agent because that agent is the important piece to this. And I'm not putting blame on individual agents. I'm showing you objectively what I think just happened.
Okay.
Now, this is a zoomed in and a slowed down video. Watch. This is important. Okay?
Because the gun
that same agent walks away, the gun, he pulls, and did you see that? Hold on. This is really important, guys. I've got to show you this. Watch this agent's hands, okay? The gray agent in the gray baseball cap. He walks away from the fight with the gun, and as he's running like this, you're going to see his arm go like this. Like you're going to see it react to something. Watch. Play it again. Watch his right arm. As it goes, he just pulls the gun. The mag falls. He turns. His gun, he just changed his arm. His arm just changed trajectory, okay? There's a reason that happens, and I'm going to show you in a second when we zoom in and watch.
I don't know, because now you got to convince me that it's not swinging, like the running away movement. Your arms naturally.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily. I wouldn't conclude that's because the gun went off.
Yeah, and plus I would expect to see some muzzle flash or something, but I don't see anything.
I want you to watch the gray agent's arm, and I want you to watch the slide, and I want you to watch his reactions to his body language when this happens. Again, you're watching it. There's the gun. He's going back and forward, and all of a sudden he angles out to the side.
That didn't. I don't.
Okay. I don't see anything.
I don't see that.
I'm gonna play it again.
Yeah,
because he changed his momentum. When you do that, there's
All right. So
There's a reason. Some people say you can see a slide go back and forth when that happens.
what?
I don't see it.
Yeah. He's.
In a second when we zoom in and
All right,
watch.
here we go.
I want you to watch the gray agent's arm, and I want you to watch the slide, and I want
watched
you to watch his reactions to his body language when this happens. Again, you're watching it. There's the gun. He's
I'm going to stop it here. All right. So now we're looking at the slide, looking for slide, muscle fashion, arm movement, right? For recall.
Mm-hmm.
going back and forward, and all of a sudden he angles
I don't
out
see anything.
I don't see any
I don't see
recall. I don't see it. I don't
to
see
the
it.
side.
Because recall, it would be a jerk. It's a nice, slow movement. So I don't see it.
Okay? I'm going to play it again because he changed his momentum. When you do that, there's a reason. Some people say you can see a slide go back and forth when that happens
Nah.
because the gun went off.
I don't see it.
And in the audio, there's one shot followed by multiple shots. This is not an overt murder by ICE agents. What this looks like to me, and I'm not there, this is my theory, I cannot prove this 100%. I'm merely bringing this out, and you can tell me what you think in the comments below. It looks like the gun that was in this agent's hand right here is the one that was the first shot, and you can see the slide move right there. The slide does move, and then you see his body.
Do you see the slide move?
I do not see the slide move.
All right, let me maybe zoom into this. I'm trying to. I don't see the slide move. I got to zoom into this maybe. I'm trying to see what he says he sees. He's seeing this. I don't see it.
Body language change. He changes
So he changes. Let me go here because he's saying the slide move. We're looking at the slide, so I'm gonna roll it back just a little bit, and we're looking for the slide move. So this is as close as we can get it.
was the first shot, and you can see the slide move right there. The slide does move, and then you
Do you see that? I don't see it.
see his body
You see that the
language
gun
change. He changes trajectory all of a sudden, right? He's going
No, his arm is all right. So his arm looks like it's swinging naturally.
forward,
and he's running back. His arm
slide
goes back.
moves, angles outward.
Yeah, I don't
Okay?
even agree that his arm is making some sudden change. It looks like part of a natural swing to me. I don't even
I don't see
believe
it,
that his
people.
arm was react. I don't see it.
I don't see this. Yeah, maybe.
So what
let's
you're
look at
looking at,
whatever
in
list
my
that
opinion,
is.
is the gun in his hand is the one that was fired first after the other agents yelled gun, gun, gun. And then the other agents, hearing the words gun, 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 reach for their firearms. They hear a gunshot, which presumably would be this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then they fire at the target that fired the gun after it was screamed out, gun, gun, gun. That's what looks like happened to me. That is not murder. That is a series of unfortunate events that are coinciding with bringing
Series
a
of
gun.
unfortunate events.
But
Nice.
so in that instance, essentially, he's got my position. He's on my position. If that gun was a misfire, then everything's an accident. So that's my position. He's just taking my position. But if the other agent, but then you'd have to ignore the fact after the first gunshot, the guy kind of goes limp. So why would he go limp after hearing the first gunshot? Who makes that first shot is going to be all what matters here. That first shot.
It will be helpful. I'm not sure it'll be dispositive. Nate over here thinks it's dispositive. I'm less convinced that it's dispositive. I still think that when you pull the trigger of that gun, you're responsible for pulling the trigger of that gun.
Yeah.
This idea of what is he saying? This collective desire to pull the trigger. It's like you can desire it all you want. Maybe when I hear a car rev, I want to rev my car, but I'm still responsible for my own choices. When you have a deadly weapon, you're responsible for that.
But
so you pull the trigger. It's like what you're going to say. It's a collective psychosis. Is that what we're going with?
I
don't know, man.
I think you're misunderstanding his. So his argument is the misfire, right? Somebody pulls the gun, because that's what you do. If you're searching somebody, you see gun, you say gun, gun, gun. So everybody around knows this guy's got a gun. The suspect has a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So now they remove the gun, but not everybody who's wrestling knows they removes the gun because he's not like I got the gun. And number two, he could have another gun. So generally, you pull one firearm and you try to move it from the scene. And he's trying to move the gun. That's what he's trying to show here. The gun fires. Now, when everybody else heard gun, 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 everybody already got ready just in case shit went down. They can stop the lethal threat. He pulled, so they've already got their guns pulled. When the shot goes off in such close proximity, they think because of all this, because of the totality of the circumstances, that the person who they're trying to arrest is the one who shot the gun. So that's why they returned fire to that spot, even though they're mistaken. So what he's saying is it's mistake, it's unfortunate, it's civil, but criminal it's not, because they had this mistaken reasonable belief. That's what he's saying. It's like the great Gage, it's like Kyle Rittenhouse and Gage Grotskreutz. Gage Grotskreutz had the mistaken belief that he was killing an active shooter in Kyle Rittenhouse. And Kyle Rittenhouse was an active shooter, but he was presented the dangerous threat from Gage Grotskreutz and shot him instead. So I'm thinking that's what he's saying is happening here. This is just an unfortunate mistake. They thought it was this guy, but I still would have to reconcile that way. After that first shot goes off, the video we just watched showed him go limp. So if that first bullet hit him, then that kind of kills this argument. And this whole arm waving thing, you know, should I go back to the him going limp video? Because if he goes limp after that shot, then I just don't see.
Yeah,
how,
I mean, I don't see it.
Let me see if I have that one. All right, so I do have it. Yeah, I have it high res. So I'm gonna put it up here high res. I have a high res video of it. So I'm gonna put it up here high res. All right. Don't hate me, chat, but this is gonna be high. All right, so this up here high res. I'm gonna switch this out and go back over here. Put this over here on my show screen. Put you back up here so I can see you guys. All right, so we're going to the end. So this is a high res version. We're going to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And he struggle. So now we listen to the first shot. I'm gonna stop it after the first shot. After that, let me play it real time. Oh, they just slowed it down. All right. So here we go. The gun comes out. He goes. That's the first shot. Now, after that first shot, all right, it looks like he may have been trying to get up.
Yeah, maybe it was only that second shot. Maybe the Sig Sauer people have an argument.
So that's the first shot you hear it. He stands up. He's trying to stand up.
Yeah. So maybe they're right. Maybe the 6 hour did go off. And
now, so if the 6 hour did go off and he's trying to stand up and everybody just yelled, "This guy has a gun," I would say that was a clean shoot.
All right, let's assume that's true. Go to Graham v. Connor. Show me.
Show you why I would think.
Yeah, show me the test for Graham v. Connor. Walk me through it, please, or walk everyone through it, including myself. You can remind me how this works under Graham v. Connor.
The Graham factors, okay.
Yeah, walk me through the Graham factors.
The Graham factors, but Graham factors is not an exhaustive list. It's part of blah 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 blah. You know that. So just everybody knows. Graham factors encompass more than just this. It encompasses a whole bunch of stuff, but we'll go through the Graham factors. Sideshow. All right, so here it is. Tennessee v. Gardner, Graham, Tennessee v. Gardner case. Fleeing felon, can't shoot fleeing felons from the back. Serious threat. Then that was massaged a couple of years later. Graham v. Connor. Graham v. Connor. Objective and reasonable test. An objective standard used to judge an officer's actions. Under this standard, a particular application of force must be judged through the perspective of a reasonable officer facing the same set of circumstances without the benefit of 20/20 hindsight. Like, for instance, he didn't have the gun, and be based on the totality of the facts that are known to that officer at the time that the force was used. The factors: 1, what's the nature of the 911 call? 2, was the person resisting arrest? And 3, was he a serious threat to either the officers or the members of the community? But understand, serious threat has to actualize. He doesn't have to, serious threat. It could be. Even when we were talking about the Renee Good. Renee Good didn't actually have to hit him with the car. The fact that she's driving a car toward him at a particular speed, that's a serious threat. So you don't.
That's
have
an
to
imminent threat of death. That's an imminent threat of death. I could shoot Renee Good in that situation.
Yes. But I'm saying it doesn't have to be an actualized. People sometimes think you got to be shot or you got to be hit, but you don't. It's just a serious threat. And a lot of times with police involved shootings for suicide by cop, people are like, they'll go to the cop and they'll say, "I have a gun in my pocket," and then reach into their pocket and don't have anything. Well, that perception.
If this winds up being because the SIG discharged when it wasn't supposed to, SIG Sauer, like they didn't already have enough legal problems. If that's what this turns out to be, holy shit, dude.
Well, that's what it's looking like to me. Because after that first shot, he's trying to stand up.
Now would be a really good time to sell your stock of SIG. Sell.
Yeah, because that's what this seems like to me. I'm playing it. First shot goes off. They're still wrestling with him, but now they're afraid. But now look, his knee. He's trying to stand up. He's trying to stand up. He picks up his knee. He's trying to stand up. Gun. He's trying to stand up. You just heard a gunshot. You're telling me a reasonable officer in that situation doesn't shoot that guy?
When you frame it that way, that's a more convincing argument when you frame it that way. But I don't know, man. I mean, even then it's like, don't you have, I don't know, man.
What about, all right, so for every one of those officers, if there's multiple, let's say three or four of those officers shot, you're telling me they would all be committing murder in that?
I'm just talking about the first officer.
But because they say it was multiple officers shot this guy. But if so, the first officer you may have an issue with, but the multiple officers, if you got 2 officers or 3 officers to shoot, in that scenario, he's standing up. They've already yelled gun, and they've heard a gunshot. Eesh.
You can see the firing agent's elbow recoil in the first shot. So they're trying to say that you can see with the first shot, you can see the agent's elbow recoil.
All right, so here's the agent. Remember, gun. Gun's going. That looked like a little recoil.
Maybe. Yeah. The ballistics on this is going to be interesting.
Or it could be him reacting to the shot, because if you look,
It could be that true.
If you look, everybody jumps when they hear the shot. And then, if the gentleman was shot at this point, this is extremely close range. Watch what happens to the guy. I thought he went limp, but watch what he does. Because everybody, when the first shot goes around, the first reaction is get away from the threat. Because you're assuming he's a threat. So everybody's going to remove themselves from the threat. And then re-engage the threat when they have safe distance. So that's why you see everybody bouncing away. And he starts standing up. And now, gun. They're responding to what they perceive as a reasonable threat at that moment. If that's what happened, I hate you, chat. But if that's what happened, it's a justified shooting.
No. I wouldn't go that far. No.
I'm sorry, Kurt. If what happened, it's a horrible mistake. His family should be paid millions of dollars. But the shooting won't be justified. I know. But the shooting would be justified under these specific circumstances. Now, if the other cop was the one that shot, where we see the recall, that's murder. But if what we're seeing now, if it was his own gun that did it, it would be hard for me to say that this would not be justified. It would be hard for me to say.
The best I'm willing to give you is that it drops it to manslaughter, because he was simply reckless because of his incorrect assumptions.
Would you believe that guy?
I'll drop you to manslaughter, but I'm not going all the way to justification.
Let's be reasonable here.
I'm being reasonable. I'm a reasonable guy. I'm a reasonable guy.
In this situation,
I'm reasonable.
When this guy's on the floor, right? Number one, this guy, now you hear the gun when he takes the gun. Gun. Everybody's now got guns out, point. This guy's got a gun out, pointing. And then you hear the gunshot, right? You hear the gunshot. So gunshot comes off, everybody backs up, and he's getting up.
Someone says, why am I so set of ways of being objective? I don't understand this.
You're telling me at that moment in time,
you don't think I'm being objective just because I disagree with Nate?
Oh, no, this is... But
I mean, I'm
thinking,
being as objective as one person can be. I'm trying to run through the analysis the same way Nate is, and Nate and I are both trying to do the same thing. We're both trying to run through the analysis, and we just come out differently.
yeah,
It's
we
like,
got to come out differently.
I don't know what to tell you.
But we come out differently only on one point, and that point is if his gun was the one that fired, it's justified. It's awful. It's really, this is the top of awful but lawful thing. But if it's the officer that fired the first shot, then we have a murder.
But saying gun doesn't mean shoot.
No,
Just
saying
because
gun means you have a gun.
Just because someone's yelling gun, gun, gun doesn't mean you can start pulling the trigger.
No, of course not. But someone yelling gun, 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 then you hear a gunshot, and then the person who you believe has a gun is starting to stand up. Yeah, you're going to get shot. If I'm there, I'm pulling that trigger. I'm just saying. Gun, gun, gun. We all back up because we don't know what the gun. And this guy starts standing up. Yeah, I'm pulling that trigger. I'm just saying that just because I'm going to be scared. I'm going to be, we're all tight already. And that's the reason why. You see how close everybody is now. And when they hear that shot goes off, everybody jumps away like he's on fire. And then they stop the threat. Because if he lays down, then you got another different story. But he's standing up. He's standing up. When that leg stands up, he's got a problem. He's got a problem. I'm sorry. I know 5 officers surrounding him, but right now, unless I saw it, I think he's got a gun, and I think he's just fired the gun too. So I'd rather take my chance with the jury than let that man stand up in that moment.
I just need more.
Are you letting him stand up?
I need the officer to be able to say to me that there was objectively a reason that there was a threat at that moment, or there was about to be. And he's not posing any imminent threat. He obviously doesn't have a gun in his hand. He's not an imminent threat.
He has no gun. He's no imminent threat. But it's not about. It's just like the people saying Renee Good wasn't an imminent threat. She was turning the wheel.
You just pointed out that one of the key Graham factors is the objectively reasonable officer. What would the objectively reasonable officer of normal, ordinary prudence in that position? It's like, okay, what is the objectively reasonable officer? What is his basis to believe that there is a threat that requires the use of deadly force?
Let's pull it out. Threat. He's armed. We've heard somebody say gun, gun, gun. Suspect armed. Threat. Right? Now, we need eminence, right? Because, again, we're talking about use of force. So, since we know we have a threat, gun, 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 we arm ourselves. Gun, right? Now we're moving around. Then we hear gunshot, right? Gunshot. That's threat. Now we have another heightened level of threat. Okay, gunshot from the person who's everybody screaming gun, 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 has a gun. So now we back off, right? To get distance. And he's starting to stand up. I don't let him stand up. I'm sorry. I understand people are going to be mad in the chat. I understand people are going to be mad at me. But I in those circumstances, I don't think a reasonable officer lets him stand. If he lays down, that's one thing. But I just don't think a reasonable officer stands up. And they're wrong. They're totally wrong. He's totally innocent. This man should not be dead. But it's just hard for me to believe you let that guy stand up. I know you, Kurt. I know if you were there standing in front and you heard that shot, and you know that, and they're saying this guy has a gun. You don't see the gun being taken off, and he starts standing up. You can't tell me you're not going to be concerned for your safety. I think he's got a gun, and I think he just shot it.
I think that states would prosecute me over less. That's what I think. They'd be like, Mr. Mueller, are you saying that you didn't see a gun? You didn't see an active threat in that movement?
I didn't see a gun. My partner told me he has a gun. I was on the arms. He could have. Next thing I know, I heard the shot. We all backed off. He started standing up. He has a gun. He's starting to stand up. I heard the shot. I shot to stop what I perceived to be a reasonable threat in that circumstance. And was it only you? No, this guy shot. This guy shot. I think 2 of them shot. What is it, 3 in total? So, yeah, we're all being unreasonable? Yeah, no.
Being a gun owner is being responsible because guns are deadly. And you have the right to defend yourself and I believe in the right to defend yourself.
Mhm.
But those rights are based on the objective threat, and you can't shoot someone because they might be a threat in the future. You have to show the imminent, ongoing threat.
That guy's
You
a
have
threat right now. Isn't that guy trying to stand up is a threat right now? It may not be an
of
actualized
death,
Yes.
death or grievous bodily harm.
Yes. He's a perceived threat because I believe those officers believe he has a gun and has just fired it and is standing up. How is that not an imminent threat? If he had the gun, it would be an imminent threat. But we're
Yeah,
talking
if he
about-
had the gun, yeah. But if wishes were
but what
horses.
you're talking about, and so I'm talking about, and this is what we just discussed. We went to the Graham factors. It doesn't have to be actualized. This is like suicide by cop. That's what this is like. Suicide by cop. I put my hand in, and the officer shoots me, and it's like, oh, he ran for it, and you're like, no, he didn't have a gun. Yeah, true, he didn't have a gun, but the perception that he did have the gun, and I think right now the perception of these officers. If again, I want to.
Well, let me ask you this question, and this will be interesting. Based on everything you had right now, okay, if this came to you as a judge and they moved to dismiss, would you dismiss it or would you let it go forward? Do you think there's probable cause?
So all right, first, do we even get to that? Because we got to go to Graham because they're going to remove this to federal court. So Graham is going to be the first question asked in this.
Sure.
So we don't even get. I don't think you get the probable cause unless you can get past Graham. So I'll answer the probable cause question because I think probable cause if the crime been committed and it's likely that this guy committed that crime, I would say yes because Graham would be a defense to this, right? I'm saying yes, but now that's why they force you to do Graham first with the removal. So now I'm at Graham for removal, and with Graham, with these things in that couple of seconds situation because we're watching it in quarter seconds, is that guy standing up in that moment under those circumstances? Imminent threat, and it doesn't have to be an actual threat, but the officers have to reasonably be able to articulate why they perceive him to be a threat.
Do you believe there's sufficient facts for a jury to go either way on that question?
I don't think so. No,
Really?
I don't think, and that's the reason why I don't think it gets to a jury because I don't think if it's his gun that fired. I think this is dismissed on Graham. I don't think it goes to it. I think this is dismissed on Graham. I don't think you get through Graham with this. There's no way if it's his shotgun that fired under these circumstances. Now, some people are in there saying 7 officers, 5 officers, but as soon as you hear the gun go off, that evens the playing field immediately. As soon as you hear the gunshot, you can have 10 officers. That changes the dynamics like really, really quickly. So yeah, 7 officers, but the gunshot is what we're talking about. And the gunshot, these officers, I think, are reasonably attributing to this guy. Unless you're saying the gun, who else would they attribute the gunshot to? Because you have a gunshot. So we can't pretend like there's no gunshot. You say gun, gunshot, and the guy's trying to stand up. Who are you saying a reasonable officer would think that gunshot came from another officer or somebody else?
I'm thinking that there's a lot of other people around. The gunshot could have come from a lot of other people because there's a lot of other people around the scene.
Okay.
So it could have come from a lot of different people.
You hear a gun, you hear a gunshot close by, you back up, and the guy's trying to stand up. You know what? Let's ask the chat. How many people would anyone? Because again, it's the threat. Would you feel? Do you feel like this guy is a serious threat? It doesn't have to be true. But you have to be reasonable. Be in a reasonable fear. I'm sad to say it because yeah. Let's go back to Bronca, but I think if this is what happened, if this honestly is what happened, I think it's justified.
I think it's a jury question.
That's fair enough. Question of fact. Yeah, it's just so tough. All right, let's go back to Bronca.
Middle, and then we'll hear the shot, the first shot, right DHS at 9:05 a.m. Central Time, as DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal wanted for violent assault, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm handgun, seen here. I'll have more information for you on the handgun. The officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted. More details and the armed struggle are forthcoming.
That's wholly incorrect. Like that retelling of events.
The way that the DOJ and has tried to spin this has been not helpful.
Yeah, that's almost embarrassing. That's disgusting framing. I'm trying to see where his analysis is going. He's going into the gun. So, all right, maybe this is his legal analysis. Let me see. Accidental discharge versus usual. All right, here we go.
Let's to go. That initial discharge.
All right.
That does not make the shooting unlawful. Let
me go back.
This guys perceived the gun on the suspect.
Go back a little bit more.
Because someone's going to mention it. Like it or not, SIG 320s have developed a reputation, deserved or not, of unintentional discharges. Meaning if they're dropped, sometimes they go off when they're not supposed to. They're supposed to be drop safe. But there's been lots of press coverage and lawsuits about people like just putting a primer in the gun and dropping it. The primer goes off. That's not supposed to happen. There's been lots of lawsuits where people say, I bumped the gun in the holster and it just went off and shot me in the leg, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In this case, it's beginning to look, at least initially, as if one of the ICE guys perceived the gun on the suspect, this gun, and took it off his person and was turning away, walking away with the gun to secure it from the suspect. But what might have happened, remember, there's a whole bunch of officers involved. They're not all, Ethernet cable to each other's brains. They're all seeing different things. And one officer might have seen the gun and said the word gun. And that might have triggered that first shot.
You know what? I do want to say this, though, before he gets into the rest of this. I want to publicly apologize to Bronco, because when we first went into this, I didn't realize that he hadn't gone through the evidence. He's kind of looking at it cold. So when we were checking and looking back, I'm like, no, he's not saying this right, not saying this right. He was doing this cold. So I do want to be fair to Bronco. I thought that he had reviewed this stuff and was going on and reviewing it in real time. Not reviewing in real time, but reviewing things that he had already put together. But he wasn't. He was reviewing this in real time based on the stuff that he was picking up. So with that being said, I was giving him a lot of crap because I thought that he didn't that he was misrepresenting the stuff. But now I see he absolutely was not doing that. So I want to make sure that everybody here who's watching me knows that. I made an assumption, but now that I'm looking at it, it's clear he was doing this on the fly. So I just want to make it very clear.
By an officer, and then all the other officers begin shooting in response to that initial discharge. That does not make the shooting unlawful. It would be an awful but lawful shooting. So what's required for the shooting to be lawful? The officers have to have a reasonable perception of an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm. That's it. If the answer to that is yes, this is a lawful shoot. They're struggling with this gun. If they perceive this guy as being non-compliant with arrest, fighting with officers, as reaching for a weapon, they will have reasonably perceived an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm, justifying their use of deadly defensive force. And their perception does not have to be correct. Their perception has to be reasonable. We're not required to make perfect decisions in self-defense. Police, too. We're required to make reasonable decisions in self-defense. If an officer heard a fellow officer shout gun, and officers are allowed to rely on the expertise of training on their fellow officers.
Yes, that's true.
They don't personally need to see the threat themselves. If another officer with whom they're working in that event shouts out that the triggering event has been observed by a fellow officer, that's enough.
You can rely on
for
that.
Another officer to resort to the use of deadly defensive force. They're allowed to rely on their reasonable perceptions of the other officer's communications and conduct. Happens all the time because everyone knows the officers have different perspectives or seeing different things at any given time. Every officer does not personally need to see the threat. He has to have a reasonable belief that the threat is present. That can be based on a reliance of what other officers communicate to him.
I think he explained that part better. The release, because that's essentially what I was trying to say before. The officers yelled gun, gun, gun. Everybody hears that and is kind of relying on that, and they're allowed to.
So if one officer shouts gun, all the other officers are going to be prepared to, and some of them will shoot, as appears to be what happened here. When you get in a physical brawl with a bunch of armed law enforcement officers and you have a gun on your person, you're running a serious risk of getting fatally shot in the course of that confrontation. The moment they see that gun, they've reasonably perceived an imminent threat of deadly, unlawful force.
But I think, unfortunately, Bronco, he narrowed it down to one question. But I think unfortunately, in this retort, the one question simplifies Graham to remember. What was the case after Graham? Barnes?
Felix, yeah.
Yeah, so I think what he did, he made the mistake the Fifth Circuit made. He and the Felix, and then you had the Felix.
The officers have different perspectives or seeing different things.
When he says
by a fellow officer defense. If an officer heard
I'm trying to,
it would be an awful, but in
response
response to that initial discharge. That does not make the shooting unlawful. It would be an awful.
He brings it down to one question.
Lawful shooting. So what's required for the shooting to be lawful? The officers have to have a reasonable perception of an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm. That's it. If the answer to that is yes, this is a lawful shoot.
What do you think? I think he's summarized it to the moment, but the Graham factors you got to take into the totality of the circumstances. So that's one factor within the Graham analysis, but it's not and it could be the determinative factor, right? It could just be all encompassing, the serious threat aspect of it. But he's understanding serious threat is one factor amongst many others. So, but I would agree in this case, narrowing it down to that is important, but there could be other factors that could change it. So in this case, I will say I do agree with him in terms of this is the determinative factor in this assessment.
Stances as an imminent, unlawful threat of deadly force harm, and therefore it was justified to use deadly defensive force. February 7th.
So I agree with Bronco, but only if that first shot was from the victim's gun.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the only way that you're going to get to
the
officer. That's the only way you could get to the officer being in the right. That's the only way that's possible. I'm still not sure you're there, but it's the only way you're going to get there at all.
Well, tell me what you think. Tell me why you don't think it would be.
Well, I already told you why I think. I think that the objectively reasonable officer needs to be able to say that there is an imminent threat of death or grievous bodily harm in the moment that he pulls the trigger. That's the standard. Even in Graham, we talk about the objective standard used by the reasonably prudent officer without the benefit of hindsight. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be mistaken, but he has to be able to point to something, or more importantly, the reasonably prudent officer has to point to something that poses that threat. And there isn't anything. He doesn't presumably see a gun. He doesn't presumably see, anything that he might hear a shot, but there's no reason to believe the shot came from in front of him. He has no reason to believe that, as opposed to somewhere else. The threat is if the Sig Sauer is the one that's firing, the shot's coming from behind him, not in front of him. So he if anything should think the shot's behind him and be turning around. But there's no reason to think it's in front of him. So he is acting precipitously, and so therefore unjustifiably. Well, that's sort of how I think about it.
Even with the whole shot behind him versus in front of him thing, in a dynamic situation, I've sometimes heard something and not know in direction it's from. But I would say this also, in such a dynamic situation, gunshot, if we're hinging on the fact that we believe that they can determine if it's behind them or in front of them, it's
I don't necessarily think you'd be able to tell, but some people in chat earlier were saying, do you think that officers have bad ears? Wouldn't they be able to tell where the shot was coming from? So I was trying to answer those people. It's like,
I
okay,
don't-
if you could,
I
if
don't
you could
know.
figure out where the shot was coming from and be behind him. Yeah, in reality, probably not as much because the shot will echo. There are buildings.
Yeah.
It will echo. It will be noisy. It probably will not be able to determine where it came from. But still, even though there's no reason to believe it came from in front of him in particular, there's no gun that he can see. Was he? He's just, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. See, and I think that's where we're getting tripped up, because I think reasonable matters here, and I think what reasonable is that in a situation like this, where you have someone who has the gun and people say gun, and somebody
Right now, the chat is very split on the poll with almost 400 people voting. They're 52% against, so they're right on the edge.
Of what? 52% against what?
52% say it's bad. 48% say it's good. As terms of bad shoot versus good shoot. So
Yeah,
they're right on the edge.
It's funny because I'm 50-50 because I can see both sides. I can honestly see both sides. And the side that you're, except so that in one side, if one of the officers shot, it's murder. We got no question about it. It's murder. The other side, it's maybe murder, maybe not be murder. I would say it's not. So, but in this case though, until I see different, I'm gonna hold on to my murder card until I'm gonna get a little bit more evidence. And I think I'm gonna even wait till to do my video, because I wanted for my video, I wanted to really be able to say definitively, like, okay, this happened, and without knowing where that first gunshot came from, I don't think you can really do a good analysis, because I think we'll be we're gonna be forced to be in a situation where it's like it's 50-50. If it's the officer shot first, okay. If it's his gun that shot first, it's not. So this is a tough case, man. This is a tough case. I don't know. Have you changed around on Don Lemon yet or no?
Oh, in terms of Lemon's liability, yeah, there's no immediate reason to believe that he can be charged based on what's presently available. So yeah, I think based on what's presently available, Don Lemon can't be charged, but I'm hopeful that there's text messages or other things that will lead to his liability. But yeah, I think it's premature to say he did anything illegal, as much as I loathe the man.
Oh, Pierce Morgan, he's losing it over this shooting. Yeah, but I'm saying everybody. Oh, and Legal Eagles Cry video, but it's getting some attention.
Cry video was a little much.
He's into it.
Yeah, he filmed it outside for some reason.
She was. Yeah, I think the Renee Good one. I think I think that's political. This one, and it's funny because I think this one allows you to get the that emotional baggage. You know what I'm saying? Like Renee Good, you can say all this crap, but it's good. I think this one is like, oh, I know I'm right, so I can really pull on the emotional heartstrings. So, but at the end of the day, I will say again, I want to be very, very right, and I want to be honest with Bronca. Bronca, I think, was right. I think his evaluation doesn't look at the right case though. He's got to look at Graham v. Connor. Everyone looks at Graham v. Connor. But I think at the end and like I said before, I was saying that before, I think he gets to the right place, but I think he does it for the wrong reasons. So, but we'll see. Oof. So are we going to watch Legal Eagles hate video?
We can if you want to pull it up.
Let me see.
You want to watch him cry in the snow?
Nah, I don't know if I want to watch him cry in the snow. I watched it. I feel it's again, it seems more political than anything. It doesn't seem like who else did like a quick breakdown of this? Joe, good logic.
You see what Good Logic said about it? Yeah, I think I still think that the balance is against the officer. I might be not affording him the deference perhaps he thinks due, but yeah, I think on balance, it's yeah.
No, I came in here agreeing with you. He's got Bronco on with him. I came here agreeing with you. But just looking at it, I don't agree. I just, if what happens is that's what happens. I think Bronco's right. I think it just makes sense. All right, so here we go. And again, remember, Bronca, I'm only agreeing with Bronca if it was the SIG P380 that actually did the shot. Like that, if that had to be the one.
If that winds up being the thing,
Thing.
Sig Sauer needs to drown in it.
Yeah.
Because they've known about this issue for a long time and been denying it. If it winds up being the Sig Sauer malfunctioned and fired on its own, Sig Sauer needs to drown.
Sure. This is.
I hope they get sued into oblivion if that's what winds up being what happened, because they fucking deserve it at this point. And the Lawful Protection of Commerce Act doesn't prevent Sig Sauer from getting sued because it's due to their gun actually.
Those who fired shots have. Those who fired shots.
All right, so here is.
Those who fired shots have a reasonable perception, not correct perception, but a reasonable perception based on the totality of the circumstances that they were facing an imminent unlawful threat of deadly force harm.
Now, he's more to Graham now with the totality of the circumstances. He's more to Graham now.
And anyone seeking to prosecute them, overcome their justification, would have to disprove that beyond any reasonable doubt.
Not beyond any reasonable doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt.
So it's not like, is it more?
Yeah, he said that's a higher standard. It's a real high standard there. Beyond any reason,
likely it was lawful? Is it more likely it was unlawful? But what you need to see in all these videos is evidence that would prove beyond any reasonable doubt that the officers who fired these shots had a reasonable perception of an imminent unlawful deadly force threat.
They did not have a reasonable.
No, they had a reasonable perception. Well, you would have to disprove that they had that reasonable perception, right?
Yes, I know that. And I've tried to say this already once, and I'll say it again. I'm not trying to say I'm anywhere close to beyond a reasonable doubt. I've never tried to say that beyond reasonable doubt. Mm-hmm. I don't think the video footage is particularly great. It's better than nothing, and it shows a lot. But there's I don't think it's so dispositive that I'm like ready to go to the end of the page. I'm not ready to go to the end of the page. For me, this is a probability assessment. Which is more likely? And for me at the moment, I'm like, yeah, this likely is an unlawful shoot. This is likely a bad shoot. Now, I understand at trial we have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't know whether or not the evidence, once you do ballistics and once you do all the things you do, I don't know whether or not the evidence would allow for that. And neither does anyone else having this discussion, because that evidence doesn't exist yet, because all the evidence that's necessary hasn't been created yet. So I don't know whether or not you could get to beyond reasonable doubt at the end of the day. I'm just simply saying, on balance, I think it's more likely this than this.
Someone was asking, why is Bronca wrong by not using Graham? Because Graham is the objective standard. Bronca's talking about it in a subjective type of standard, right? What did the officer perceive? But Graham is not about what it's not about what the officer feels. It's a perspective of a reasonable officer, an objectively reasonable officer. So like in that last case with Renee Good, remember the officer had he was dragged before in the past, and people were like, he made him more sensitive to it. But the reason why that wouldn't matter is because we're not judging it through that officer's eyes. We're judging it from the perspective of a reasonable officer, not a reasonable person, it's a reasonable officer who's facing those same set of circumstances. So that's why when Bronca says he makes it seem like it's subjectively that officer who you'd have to look through, but it's not. You're replacing that officer with essentially this fake made up officer who he's going to be a reasonable officer facing the same set of circumstances. It's an objective test, not a subjective test. I hope I explained the difference between objective versus subjective, how I think about it.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Threshold of proof we have in American law. In other words, even if you think it probably wasn't lawful, but there's some possibility it was, then that's a justified shooting under the law. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And anytime someone comes to a protest as an advocate for the side against the police, armed with a gun, plenty of ammo, gets in a fight with police and is non-compliant with arrest, and then they see a gun or they hear a gunshot, bad things are likely to happen. An officer who hears a shout of gun and then a gunshot fighting a suspect is likely to have a reasonable belief that his fellow officers have observed a threat. Even if he doesn't see it himself, he's allowed to rely.
Say it again.
I have to step off for a second. I'll be
Okay,
right back.
cool.
On the perceptions of his fellow officers. And the guns are going to come out and the shots are going to get fired. And again, they don't have to be correct. And they don't know what each other know, right? So they don't know that one cop walked off with a gun. They're not Ethernet wire.
Yeah, this is exactly what I've been saying. Don't get me wrong, people. I agree with Bronca's take, and like I've been saying all day. He gets to the right spot, and again, these competing theories have a lot of parallels to them, overlapping. But I think a reasonable officer, and just facing those same sort of circumstance situations, would be. It's hard. Oh, Barnes is on. Barnes is talking about it.
Oh God, no! Please, I only have so many brain cells. Please, no.
He thinks it's murder. What are you talking about?
Does he? Oh, for that reason alone, I'm going to have to change my opinion. If Barnes thinks it's murder, I think you're probably right. Holy shit!
Doing.
Oh, I don't know. Picking up a woman is being shoved down by an ICE officer who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. You see, it's an utter lie. Stephen Miller, I get it. He's disappointed. He doesn't get to go through his videos and see all those Gaza children starving and dying every day. He really got a personal thrill out of that. So he doesn't get to get.
Barnes is going off.
Tactics, and thinks that he can take the same Israeli propaganda and just lie the same way in the U.S. It's a lie.
What the fuck are we talking about now?
This is the shooting.
John Lott, one of the
Are you
great
sure?
professors.
Yes, remember what Stephen Miller came out that the guy was trying to assassinate ICE officers? That's what you're responding to right now.
Okay.
Say, I'll go
Of supposedly conspiring to murder him because he got caught lying. You know, they took South Park's Team America role in front of these people, and he's got a video footage of the ICE officer with the gun. He doesn't even know that that's the ICE officer. The guy never brandished the gun at all. He never showed the gun at all. He never removed the gun from the holster at all. Let's go through the facts. The facts are this was ICE escalating.
That's true.
Your job in crowd control is to de-escalate.
He's speaking my language now. That's my language. He's speaking it. They did escalate. Barnes is right.
The ICE officer chases a woman across the street, pepper sprays her, and then apparently isn't satisfied with that, so he shoves her down.
We saw that.
I did see that. That was pretty fucked up.
We saw that. So he's right.
At the point of shoving her down is when this guy who is just sitting there filming, walks in and tries to stop that.
Yes.
So what does he do? He pepper sprays him.
Facts.
But not happy with pepper spraying, this is the ultimate victim, he grabs his arm down so he can pepper spray him some more.
Yep.
And then so they're both pepper sprayed. So you're creating a disastrous situation to begin with. There's no competent cop who's going to say this is how you handle an escalation situation.
Exactly.
Then they take him, they push him to the ground. He never hits any officer ever. He never initiated anything with an officer ever. All he did was try to help this woman get up off the ground. And see him right there. He's put his hands up. He grabs his arm.
Yeah, but Robert, a lot of people are going to say, what the hell does he possibly think he's doing?
Oh, I don't know. Picking up a woman is being shoved down by an ICE officer who doesn't know what the hell he's doing?
Possibly.
This is getting spicy, bro. This is getting spicy. I don't know.
This is getting spicy.
Oh, this is. Let me get my seatbelt on. This is getting spicy.
Yeah.
I don't have one rule for Capitol Police in January 6th and have a different rule for ICE officers on the street. This ICE officer is out of control.
Yeah.
Out of control. But how was it reasonably necessary for him to mace the woman? How is it reasonably necessary for him to discharge his duties as an ICE officer to mace the guy? Then he grabs the guy and throws him down. They all come up. Different ones are kicking him in the head, Rodney King style. And while he's on the ground, and then one of them sees that he has a gun holstered on his back, takes the gun holstered out of his back out, and an officer who sees him do that, sees the gun. He's right there when he sees him pick up the gun and take it away.
That's what I said.
As soon as he sees the gun is taken away, Bam, bam, bam. 3 shots in his back.
That's what I said. Barnes saying what I said.
He said, but I gotta say, I don't know if he's written the facts though. The last in the fact, he was good. He had me. I was like, oh yeah. That last of the volleys, I think he's I don't think it's as clean as he's making it sound. I just don't think it's that clean. Let me play this on full speed. I got to see this on full speed. Hold on. All right, here we go. All right, so he said exactly. This guy pulls out his gun, points. So he says if this is the cop that shot, that's why it's murder. So Barnes' position, the cop that shot is this one. Because this is the troublemaker. This is the one that did all that crazy shit. And nobody's even talking about the women here who are like huddled up in huddled masses. These women they're supposed to be trying to arrest, by the way. These nobody's even talking about them. But so they pull the gun out of his back, and here we go with the shots. Okay, so let me go to playback speed to only a 1, normal. And here we go. So it's this guy is shooting. I don't see anybody else even with their guns pointed to the guy. Yes, this guy. 4 shots.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I still think I still think the balance of probabilities says murder to my mind.
Yeah. If it's this guy who shoots the 4 shots, yes, it's murder. If it's the pick sour goes off or the 380 goes off, then I think you got a different. Then it's a different evaluation. Wow. All right. Interesting.
There is no justification for that. And anybody who is justifying it is nothing more than a pimp for cops, like Andrew Branca is, who thinks the Ashley Babbitt shooting was legit. I'm sorry, this was an outrageous shooting. And it was utterly unjustified, didn't meet any legal standards of self-defense, didn't meet any legal standards of reasonable necessity, because you had an out-of-control ICE cop. Now, who do I blame this all on? Kristi Noem. Because they're the ones inspiring these people and creating this political theater, and now it's going to backfire and destroy immigration enforcement in this country.
I'll pause and interject with my 2 cents, and
Barnes is spitting some truth today.
You hated Barnes. Now all of a sudden you're back on the Barnes.
Barnes is spitting some truth today. Okay.
Broken clock.
Guys, if you don't like what Barnes has to say, then maybe the Sunday night Viva and Barnes Law for the People is not for you. Maybe there's a reason why we have one of the best communities at vivabarneslaw.locals.com.
Put a plug in. Put a plug in.
Dumb, and I'm not.
Join the Uncivil Law channel. We plug in too.
And I'll push back on Robert a little bit here because I'll say
here's the pushback. Viva.
What those cops were doing might have been wrong. That guy, knowing that he's armed, interfering with ICE operations, whether or not he thinks they're going to be deemed to be unlawful at the end of the day, he has.
All right, before Barnes starts speaking.
If Barnes comes to a rousing defense of the Second Amendment at this point, I don't even know what I'm going to do with myself. If that's his response, which is probably is going to be,
I'll bet you $20 he's going to mention Kyle Rittenhouse.
That's probably a pretty safe bet too. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Zero business doing it.
Now, is him picking up a woman is interference?
I would. He was going to play. He was going to play hero.
So let's say you see a cop beating a guy, and you believe it's not legitimate what's happening.
I am not getting
involved. To sit there and let it happen. We're going to become China now. That we just let abuse take place in our presence.
Well, first of all, no, I would not get involved for a number of reasons, not least of which is survival.
That's fair, but I'm saying, is it obstruction? Is it illegal interference?
If he did not know what they were doing, and they were plainclothes officers, and he didn't know, and he thought it was a gang, whatever, then yeah. If he knows,
but even he sees an officer pushing her down after he pepper sprays her, and he just steps in to help her get up.
He get the hell away. Let ICE do what they're doing, whether you agree with it or not. You're interfering, and you know that you're armed. And you know that you're armed.
A lot of people on January 6th interfered, and I thought that. Well, okay, you think maybe they shouldn't. Put that aside. How is that illegal obstruction? That's
Barnes is hitting him with the Barnes is going to legal mode now. He's going to lawyer mode. He's like, all right. He sounds like you. We're gonna put that aside. Let's just get to the brass tacks of it. Here's the question. Tell me this. So here we go. He's got Viva. He's gonna ask Viva the question.
they shouldn't. Put that aside.
Put that aside.
How is that illegal obstruction? That's
Well,
not
the
illegal
question is,
obstruction.
it leads to a situation.
That's not
where,
a crime.
No, but it leads to a situation where they've got now
I
got to get
understand that.
somebody
You're
else
worried
under
about
control.
the consequence. I get all
And-
that.
and then-
My
and
point
then
is
the
that's
kerfuffle-
not, people are acting like he was jumping in, stopping them from arresting an illegal immigrant. That isn't what happened here. This is them deciding to attack someone who is videotaping after they pepper spray her, pushing her down, and then all he does is step in, and he gets pepper sprayed, and he puts his hand up like, okay. And the guy grabs his hand so he can pepper spray him again, then picks him up and throws him to the ground where they're all around. What like people say, oh, he's resisting arrest. What's the probable cause of the crime? What's the probable cause of the crime?
But that was my whole argument all that time.
Barnes
What's
is
probable
speaking some
cause?
truth.
I
Barnes
was
speaks-
saying that earlier today. I don't even see probable cause to arrest. So,
But that's where I would say, like, first of all, we'll get some more footage of all of this. This guy has no, I mean, other than what he's seen for the 2 minutes that he's seen on the street, has no idea what she might have done, 5 minutes earlier. I don't know. Getting involved, knowing that he's carrying a gun. The case of Castile. What was his first
But I
name?
don't like the fact carrying his gun should be irrelevant. Should not factor in because
No,
otherwise
because- no,
we are
no, no,
penalizing people for asserting their Second Amendment rights.
we're about to get into the 2A, baby. 2A all the way.
I knew he was
I'm
going to
not in
mention it.
favor of that whatsoever. You have a right to carry a gun. You have a right. For example, it's not illegal to not have your ID with you. That is a minor fine issue that if you show you had a permit gets dismissed. That's the Minnesota law. So the Jack Posobiec, before he became Mr. Access Media, and he can't wait to kiss up to Soros Scotty Bessent when he's in Davos, used to understand this. But now he doesn't because it serves the purposes of the administration for him to forget what his Second Amendment lessons were, which is that's your right, period. I'm advocating against all these laws that attempt to restrict all these things. And now I see all these people saying, no, you should never bring a gun with you to a protest. Makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Well, no, but
That's what I said.
If you see somebody being pushed, okay, you can argue about the reaction. That's not a crime, his reaction. But number one. But number two, at that point, he steps back and puts his hand up. So who's escalating? The officer is escalating. The officers are the one who escalate. This officer was out of control. Why is he chasing after somebody across the street so that he can pepper spray him? And then he gets mad at another guy, so he pepper sprays him. He's not happy with that, so he's got to grab his arm down and pepper spray him again. And then got to throw him down to the ground. And they're all around him, Rodney King style, except unlike Rodney King, they don't have probable cause he committed a crime. Resisting arrest. Do you hear them saying you're under arrest? No, because they have no grounds to it. They just throw him to the ground. They're hitting panic zone. And this happens with inexperienced officers in something that have been taught, hey, everybody's out to kill you, cut your fingers off. There's all these crazy things that have been happening in these protests. So they're out of control at that position. They're out of control. And they just lose control. And then one guy takes his gun out. The way he takes the gun out appears to be wrong. It appears the guy may have had the gun on the trigger. The ICE officer took it out. It's not clear whether it goes off or not. That is very much in dispute. But what is not in dispute is that while this guy is on the ground, his head facing down, one hand on his phone, one hand on the ground, trying to get seized, just try to stay boom. He is shot 3 times in the back.
All right. This is where we got to go back to the videotape because I think Bard says over-exaggerate a little bit what happened at the end of this thing. So it was kind of this is kind of what really happened. Like he's got the guy laying down, getting murdered shot in the back. The guy. So just so we know, this is when the shots occur. He's here. You hear the first shot. Now, after the first shot, the guy's on both his knees. If you look at his knees, he is attempting to stand up before he's shot again. So he's on his knees, and I'll play it. He's going to attempt to stand up. And that's when this guy shoots him. And you even see his gun. That's when he starts shooting him, when he attempts to stand up. So he wasn't laying down with his hand on his phone and a picture of Jesus in his other hand. He was trying to stand up. Whether it makes a difference to everybody in the audience, but I just want us to to understand. I think he's not describing that as it occurred.
Not satisfied with that, he gets up like this, which people are misinterpreting that clip. That's when he's getting up after he's been shot. Like, oh, he's reaching for his gun. No, you morons. Watch the whole video. After that, they unleash another 7 shots into him. They shoot him 10 more. What's the... You think you're going to persuade a jury in Minneapolis that they were under imminent risk of threat, that they had to shoot a guy 7 more times after they shot him 3 other times in his back? I'm sorry. I'm not buying that for a second.
I'm not buying it either.
That's why Barnes is a lawyer. Oh my God, he's making your argument for you, baby. Barnes is making your argument for you. This is hilarious.
Yeah, it is all hilarious.
Here we go.
Well, I'll say that this all happened within 3 seconds. People say that okay, he disarmed. My initial reaction was okay. Well, they got the gun. The fact that they are now saying gun, and now they know the guy has at least 1 gun on him. My issue is
they shouldn't have even been there in the first place.
Well,
so this is at every level. They are the ones who provoked this. They put it this way: take the badges off.
Yeah.
Would anybody call this self-defense if they didn't have badges?
Absolutely not.
Nobody would.
Everybody.
Yeah,
absolutely
nobody.
I would say that
if
that
you got into a
is
fight with somebody and you pepper sprayed them, you threw them on the ground, you're on top of them hitting them, and their gun is removed from them, and then you shoot them 10 times in the back, no one's going to call that self-defense.
Yeah.
I will say it's.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not taking a poll because I don't think does Rumble have the ability to do polls? I thought that they did, and then I may
take off.
We're going to get to the chat in a second.
Badge.
I got at least 2 more things that I'm going to enrage people on. So.
No.
But he's honest. I got to give it to him. He's honest. I disagree. I think it depends on which shot first, though. But I think his analysis is brilliant, though. If that cop shot first, it shot him in the back first, then I think Barnes is right.
We'll get to Stinky Finger Don Lemon in a bit. You make a compelling argument. My assessment of what we've all seen.
From the officer's perspective, he never should have been there. I'm not. Unlike the left, I'm not saying that these people are wanting to go out and execute people and murder people and caricature them. This happens a lot with people that are not used to doing this.
Yeah.
That you're in an environment where you've got a crazy environment, you got a crazy situation, crazy circumstances of people trying to do all kinds of crazy stuff. You lose it. It happens to every human being. Happens on the battlefield. Happens out in the streets. That's why you don't put them in this situation.
Yeah, well,
that's why you don't put them there. You have FBI. You have other people. You don't even need to do this. There's 100 better ways to enforce illegal immigration than this.
I agree. I agree with Barnes. What's the world coming to? What's the world coming to? And just so we can see what Barnes is talking about at the beginning. At every moment, when you see this, the cop here. Oops, let me play this at right speed. When we look at this, you'll see the cop is here. This is 7 3/4 speed. The cop is here. They're about to leave. They can get into the car and watch what happens. So the cop is in the car. He's telling him, get out of the car. Now they're waving the street traffic through.
Go.
That's the guy who's been shot. Now there's another angle where you actually see the cop push this woman in this like brown coat. So he pushes her first. And then he pushes her again.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
And then when she pushes her, you see that's what he does what Barnes says, jumps in and tries to protect her. And then this cop goes and pushes this woman just kind of indiscriminately. She's on the floor. So yeah, I think that's an assault. This officer is now spraying. And now it's spraying. Now, I think this is Barnes's point. At this point, what did they do that where you can justify all of this occurring? They didn't block the officer's way.
Mm-hmm.
They're just standing in the street, screaming, yelling, blowing whistles.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we get to justify even this use of force?
Yeah,
I think
that's a good question.
And he's saying that Barnes is saying even this. Even to go to the most extreme use of force is one thing, but even these minor use of force, these are assaults. Take off the badges; these are all assaults. You have to justify each one of these, and I don't think you could justify the push down. I don't think that was justified. This wasn't justified. When she or he just comes and pushes the person down, pushing the person. This is not justified. The person is actually walking out of the street onto the sidewalk, and now braces herself to be pushed. That's an assault. I think that's an assault by the officer. And then, like he says, he goes and tries to stop the assault, and now he's getting assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
And then now she's getting assaulted again with pepper spray. And then the question is, what are we arresting them for? Blowing whistles and standing in the street. I don't know. Well, let's finish this off with Barnes.
It's political theater. But independent of that, if you're going to do this, have the FBI, have other people that know how to manage crowds, who have done this repeatedly, historically, traditionally. Do not ask Border Patrol people to become experts at managing crowds when they're infiltrated by the Antifa crowds and all the rest. This is a ridiculous ask of these people.
But a ridiculous ask does not translate into an unlawful shooting because they were in circumstances that escalated beyond maybe their training.
I think it is an unlawful shooting, but the principal culprit. Now, there's no doubt, this never happens if the city of Minneapolis provides law enforcement crowd control. This never happens if the mayor isn't inflaming everybody. Mm-hmm. This never happens if Governor Walsh isn't inflaming everybody.
That's right.
This never happens if state sheriffs or county sheriffs, somebody was there to help control the crowds to protect their own citizens from this activity. This doesn't happen if Antifa isn't running, Antifa and its relevant Soros NGOs isn't running these organized protests to create this level of disruption. So no doubt that all of those people have blood on their hands. But so does Kristi Noem. But what it doesn't do is I'm not going to say this is a clean shooting when it's one of the worst shootings I've seen. As police shootings go, this is towards the bottom of justification. Towards the bottom.
And I'll say I'm not torn. I think the guy who approaches cops with a gun thinks he's going to play hero. Might have had other plans. It escalates within 3 seconds. He's dead. Why
lie about him? Now you destroy your credibility about everything.
That's the issue. That's the issue where
they were driving me nuts. Like, this is incompetence on steroids. It's like, okay, well, first of all, whenever you say it's under full investigation, we're reviewing what happened. Those officers are temporarily suspended while we do the investigation.
Well, at least wait for the camera from the other angle, which hadn't even come out yet. What they put
apparently they were trying to seize a lot of the cameras from the phones. And they must have idiotically thought they had seized them all, which there's no way in this modern age that's going to be likely to occur. So
you're seizing phones they're seizing phones for no purpose other than to get rid of evidence too.
Yeah.
So it's not even a legitimate law enforcement purpose.
That's a lie.
And they don't, and even though they honestly, you can refuse for them to seize your phone now.
Because it says he was there to cause a bunch of mayhem. That's a lie. That he went up and confronted him. I mean, Jack Posobiec was repeating these lies. Andrew Bronca was repeating these lies. And to his credit, Bronca realized that he was wrong and retracted and issued a correction. So at least he has credibility in that regard. But Jack Posobiec's not correcting his false statements. Stephen Miller's not correcting his false statements. Kash Patel's not correcting his false statements. This looks terrible. We are not going on the right. We are not going to win this politically, and you definitely don't win it politically by lying about people, lying about what happened in ways everybody can see with their own eyes.
Well, it seems like you are with Barnes on this one.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
He's convinced you. Now your position's even harder. You've hardened your position now.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look clean to me. It looks like a bad shoot. It looks like the officer. I mean, I agree with him. I was one to give. I didn't really even talk about that other stuff because I was so focused on the shooting. But he's not wrong for mentioning it. Like the ICE initial with the macing and everything else. It's like, yeah. I mean, that's all kind of fucked up too.
It's the totality of the
I was,
circumstances.
yeah. So I was like, yeah. But by factoring that stuff in, it only makes it worse for the ICE officer.
Yeah.
Not better. So how are you feeling about it now?
Oh, my position is still the same. I think Barnes's position is the officer. So his analysis to me says the officer is the one that shot, right? He wasn't making the distinction between the three and the officer firing. And then he said the officer firing may have misfired, but he's not sure. And that was, he wasn't able to do that. Mm-hmm. But if we go to the what he believes the officer fired. So my understanding is my position hasn't really changed. If the officer was the one that fired those shots, this is murder. If the P8 is a 380 shot, had the one shot, and then the officers responded to the hearing after hearing that, and them trying to stand up, that's a whole nother scenario. So again, I'm not sure which is the one that's correct, but I'm hoping in a couple of days we'll find out the answer to that particular question. If we find out the answer to that question, then I'll tell you definitively. If the officer shot, this is murder, and you wouldn't have it. But right now, presumptively, based on what I've seen and what I think, I'm more likely to say this was an unjustified shooting until I'm kind of convinced otherwise.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Fair enough.
I would say right now this is unjustified until I can have evidence to convince me the other way.
Yeah, and then our only point of departure is like even assuming that the SIG was the one that fired, I'm still not sure it puts the officer in the clear. So that's where we depart.
That's where we depart, yeah. Because if the SIG is the one that fired, then I'm on the other side of this.
I appreciate that. It's a reasonable perspective. I think my perspective is reasonable. We can both be reasonable. I mean, we're both trying to assess legal guidelines and stuff like that, and fair enough.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the totality of circumstances, I know he kind of made some real shots at Bronca right there too, and Jack Posobiec, he hates them both, but he hates us too. So he used to hate us, but now I think he'll like you a little bit more because we were laughing, and I think he's right in this position now. But it is.
I will get to the super chats. I appreciate people super chatting along the way, but a lot of super chats came in during discussion and during things, and I didn't want to interrupt the flow. I hope you guys understand. But I do appreciate the support. But I will read super chats, and I love you all.
Yeah, let's read them then, and then because I'm about to get out of here.
You can leave if you want. I have to pull them up on the YouTube back end, but I'll do that. Give me a second. I don't think Nate is biased, by the way. We're just assessing it differently. I don't think this is issue of bias. We're just both trying to assess it fairly.
And biased about what?
Well, someone said thanks for being unbiased, which implied you are biased, which I didn't think is fair. So I thought I'd say.
Maybe I do have a bias, but I'm, if somebody can just point to it in my reasoning, and then I would be okay. Yeah, I think that might be a bias.
I know there's a way to pull up super chats somewhere. Where is it under? It's under here somewhere. Let's see. Supers. Yeah, if I say see all. Okay, cool. I can do it this way. All right, great. I'll just read them, I guess, in reverse order when they came in. WHM_W for 999 said these incidents in Minneapolis is crazy. I like you guys to review the leaked ICE memo regarding warrant of illegal immigrants.
Yeah,
legal God sounds dystopian. Yeah, I'll probably get around to covering that.
Yeah, but didn't we talk about it?
We did not talk about it today. No.
No, have we talked about it in the past? Don't forget.
No, I don't think we have.
Because I think I was talking to somebody about the administrative warrants and the type of judges. But essentially, I don't think it's constitutional. But I think Legal Eagle's mistake in his video was he said all administrative warrants are essentially violation of the Fourth Amendment. That's just not true, because you have, for instance, one of the ones they point to in the case is ones for food safety, like the city, the food safety guys that go into restaurants and inspect the restaurants. have administrative searches and things of that nature for commercial businesses. And
Yeah,
fire,
for a home, it doesn't make sense.
yeah, and for fire safety purposes and things of that nature. For home, no. So it was they were trying to figure out and these types of administrative warrants, you need a neutral third party. And the argument is that it's an ICE agent who signs the administrative warrants for ICE, not a judge, one of their the judge, administrative law judges. So that may be, and that one is the issue because that wouldn't be a independent third party. So we'll see.
Yeah. Joshua Cornelius for $5 said, Nate, they never tried to arrest the woman. They just assaulted them and let them crawl away.
Yeah.
Economath for $5 said, again, gas discharge, a first shot visible at 14 between Camera and Gray Jack on O'Neill's next to Peretti. Joshua Cornelius for $10 said, I'm at a traffic stop with my gun in my holster. The cop comes up and sees the gun, says, gun, 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 and his partner shoots me from the passenger side. Reasonable? No, I don't think so.
No, not reasonable. You're right. Not reasonable at all.
Damian Keller for $2 said, thanks for discussion. It's good. Follow you both. Appreciate that. Zender for $5 says, he has half a can of mace in his face. Was he resisting or acting normally in that circumstance? Would Graham actually hold up? I don't see it. I have doubts under Graham, as I've expressed.
That's a very good point, that he does have a half a can of mace in his face. You can't see, hard to breathe, skin irritation. Yes, you would not be acting normally under those conditions. That's a great point.
Micro Colonel said for $5, the other thing is, if one of the officer fires first, he's a murderer. When the other shoots, probably isn't without additional evidence. Yeah, I'm not trying to assess anything except the first officer's liability. I'm not trying to assess other officers' liability because it opens up a broader picture, and I'll just stick with the one at the moment. But you're fair point. Herlo TV said for €5.99. But the officer who fired first had seen the other officer remove the gun. Yeah, Barnes had noted that. So
yes, but then you would have to, because again, like it was the analogy I made with the robbery in the store. You're focusing on the gun. In this instance, you would have, he could have been looking at something else, for hand movements or something else. He may not have he may be looking in that direction, but may not have observed the gun being taken. So yeah. It's something that I think would pretty much go to the officer. He said, I didn't see the guy take the gun, and just because he took one gun doesn't mean he doesn't have another.
Most of the time I do try to address super chats as they come in, but because I had a guest on and we're doing multiple things, it was disruptive today. So I was deferring super chats out of respect for my guest, and I understand. But normally I do try to address them as they come in. But thank you. Okay. Let's see, where were we? Okay. SF for $20 said, watch the ICE agent who pulled his gun first. His finger is initially outside the trigger guard and then moves into it. I suspect that in the jostle, a negligent discharge. No immediate second shot. Zender for $2 said, regardless, this shows ICE has poor training, or border, whoever it is. Solid Brawl said for $10, if it was a Sigma's fire, that sucks. Carrying a weapon and resisting arrest do not justify execution. Agreed. The real people at fault are Trump and Waltz for allowing the protesters to fester at this point. There's some truth to that too. Long Reach Jones for $5 Australian said, one, see at least 3 cops with questionable LOS on his hand. Gun times 3 call. It's absolutely reasonable to trust the call. Turcopa Gleason for $5 said, don't forget the fact that he already been resisting arrest. Go back to his hands under him. Elisa Ramiz for $5 says, can you resist an unlawful arrest? In some jurisdictions, yes, but not with the feds. Is it always illegal to resist? In some jurisdictions, yes. Yeah. Just Me for $9.99 said, American said, Kurt, if you're at the protest and you had gone, as is legal, would you resist Ellie Oro's and struggles? No, probably not. But even if I did, I don't think that would justify me being shot in and of itself.
Yeah, but I think these people also forget too. You got a face full of mace. Your eyes are burning. Can't breathe. Skin burning. You got, under those conditions, do you really think you're going to be acting extremely normally?
Yeah. While you had your pistol, responsibilities and repercussions. Zero Chill said for $9.99. There are 5 officers there, only one with gun drawn here in the moment. How can this officer be judged reasonable when no other officers seem pulling their gun after gun is yelled? Yeah, that officer did pull his gun awful early. he pulled his gun way before announcement of gun. And so, like, yeah, that seemed questionable.
Yeah, but also too reasonable. The reasonable doesn't mean perfect. It just means reasonable. So just because not everybody's going to do the same thing. So a reasonable officer can do X, and like in the other one, so one reasonable officer could have jumped out of the way and landed on, like Superman. The other reasonable officer would have fired. It's reasonable officers could do a multitude of different things, but that's why you judge it from that perspective. So so it's not only one thing. So one of the officers who didn't pull their gun, they were acting reasonably, but the one that did pull his gun, I believe in the circumstances we have, an argument can be made he was acting reasonably.
CS Bengzer for $10 said, so the guy that brought a gun to this peaceful protest and then decided to fight with police after they decided to detain him dies completely predictably, and the taxpayers owe him money, huh? Economath for $5 said, first shot is off jacket. You can see the gas discharge at 103 between Petrie and the gray jacket on these next to him. Guardian Dark Angel for $10 said, justified and good are not the same thing. But if we look at things objectively, according to what's been laid out, resisting while armed is a threat, an active threat. Zero Chill for $9.99 said, Nate, you can see the firing agent's elbow recoil on the first shot. Economath for $5 said, concur. There's only arm swing. Instant claimed as SIG discharge. There's no gas coming out of the barrel in any relevant image frames. A fuzzy creature for $5 said, okay, so what is the law enforcement standard for shooting? Sight a gun, reaching for pockets, honest questions.
So to say that again, what did he say?
What is the law enforcement standard for shooting?
Well, it all depends. If you look at suicide by cop videos on YouTube, you'll see the standard is it's a threat. You have to have a threat of imminent deadly force being used against you, or force that can cause you serious physical injury. So if I have somebody standing in front of me and says, I have a gun, and then they go into their pocket like this, then that threat of death or serious physical injury you can respond to with deadly physical force. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking to deadly physical force. You're meeting that with deadly physical force.
Nathan Allen Pinard for $2 said, you can see the shockwave from that gun, guys. I guess now's as good a time as any to read something as it comes in, since we'll try to do that too. Joshua Cornelius for 25 for $20 said, thank you for the super chat. Said, threatening deadly force by unholstering your weapon at the get-go is entirely unreasonable. Plenty of case law. Yeah.
Let me see, threatening deadly physical force by unholstering your weapon at the get-go. But I don't think all right, so again, I just has to have it up. We can look at it, but it kind of.
I think he's talking about the officer unholstering his gun.
Yeah, it's the officer when he unholstered his gun. It's after the people yelled "gun, gun," it's to pull the gun away, and so he's unholstered his gun, but after that event. So it wasn't like he was unholstering his gun while it was like he was down. The guy said "gun, gun," and he pulled the gun out of. But he was unholstering before that, like when he heard the gun, gun. So, but I can show it if. Let me see.
Go ahead, show it. See, look at the timing.
All right, here it is. So this is when he unholsters. So let's listen to it. Pulling the gun comes out, but while gun's coming out, he's unholstering. Now the first shot goes. He tries to stand up, and now that's when you even see the bullet from his shot go here. So this shot for sure happened here. Here's the bullet eject. But now let's see if that first shot we see any bullets eject, because I didn't even notice that before. Let me see, because you could probably tell. I don't
He's
see
being
any.
covered. You can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the eject from the second one. All right, yeah. Hopefully that answers that question.
Okay. Let's see, where were we? Nathan Allen Picard for $2 said, you can see the shockwave from the gun, guys. The MF Wolf said, for $5 you're doing frame by frame, but if I'm behind, I don't see your hand. What seasons of empty gun holster? I'm going to think gun in your hand. HBO Matt blatantly armed said for $10 US. I've been recording cops for 7 years while lawfully exercising the Next Amendment after one. Cops should have taken me about 300 times by now. Border Patrol 12 times by the new Trump administration standard. Thank you. Joshua Cornelius for 25 for $5 said a holstered weapon is not imminent threat of deadly force. Thank you for your super chat.
We agree. We agree with that 1,000%. All right, so that's it, huh?
Yeah.
All the super chat.
No, we're no close to being done. And yeah, I don't know how to respond to this. I try to respond to super chats as they come in normally, but again, like, what do you want me to do? I can't. If I interrupt it every time, it's going to be a problem. It's like I'm trying to do the best I can by my guests. So like I try to respond to them normally as they come in. I don't. Okay. I can't do everything all at once. You can leave anytime, but we do have more super chats.
Hey, Kurt, do you know who this is?
The Hulk? Badly?
No. That's Brainiac from old school Brainiac from Superman.
Okay.
From the
in the cartoon, he wasn't a person, so I didn't recognize him.
In the old school cartoons, he was a person. These are from the 70s. It's one of those things. The 100th anniversary edition. And it's Brainiac from the 70s cartoons, where he was a person.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Brandon for $2 says best vid is Joe's stream when Bronca's on. Kevin Rasmussen for $5 said, what if the officer saw an empty holster and assumed it was in Alex's hand? Assumed is the big problem in your question.
Yeah,
right there, my friend.
that's the problem.
Assumptions make an ass out of you and me and a murderer. More of the point.
Yeah.
Zoran PR says, do you have videos from behind them that shows 320? There's a frame or two that shows 320 may have fired. Bolt moves back into frame. I don't know the video.
We saw that though.
Yeah, I think we sold that, and
it wasn't inclusive. I didn't find it.
I don't see it.
But I do think it's very interesting to note that Bronca and Barnes, they're coming to the different conclusions based on where the first shot came from. Bronca believes it came from the 380, and Barnes thinks it came from the officer. And based on that, they've come to two separate conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure to point that out. Barnes specifically said the officer shot him 4 times, and then the other guy, Bronca, said no, it was a misfire, then the volley.
$5 from Barrett, who said there's an earlier video show cop telling him to get on the sidewalk, seemingly a lawful order, that ignores and goes back to the middle of the street. You know, in this context, it's not even 100% clear it's a lawful order because ICE can't just enforce municipal law. So it's not even necessarily clear it is a lawful order.
Yeah, that's not a law
in the circumstance, but okay.
It's like essentially like me telling you to get out the street. It's like it doesn't matter, right? Yeah. I don't have that authority.
Akeisha 4986 said for $20 because people shouldn't be giving you shit for respecting your guests. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Let's see, where were we on the backlog? Greg S said firing 7 to 8 bullets in a lifeless body. Brandon for $5 says Alex was a friend of mine in high school. Great guy who cared deeply. Wish Tim Waltz hadn't persuaded him federal agents were enemy of the state. Elisa Ramirez for $2 said, is it illegal to resist an unlawful arrest? Some states yes, most states no.
Yeah.
The other way around. In most states, it's illegal to resist arrest. In some states, it is legal to resist an illegal arrest. I wouldn't recommend it, but in some states, but not most. Relvator 37 for $19.99 said, thank you for adherence to principle. I watched the incident originally on Reddit with my boyfriend, but waited to form a firm opinion until other videos came out, and you guys weighed in with legal analysis. CS Bangazir said, for $10, he was fighting the police. He was armed. The officer fired at him believing that he was going for the gun because his fellow officer he had gun, then it's justified. But there's no evidence to support that based on what we can see. There's no evidence that shows anything like that I can see. Nathan Allen Pinard for $5 said, I think what ultimately determines this is who fired the first shot. The discharge could be the one that's shot.
That's what it seems like. That's what
Unusual 686 says, is there any remedy for Minnesota to remove ICE from the state? No, not that broadly. No, they might be able to go to federal court and restrict their actions in some way, but ICE, and other federal law enforcement authority has concurrent physical jurisdiction because they're both sovereigns over the same physical territory. So the state can't interfere with the feds, and the feds can't interfere with the state. So can they kick the federal government out completely? No. Might they be able to restrict in what they do? Yeah, depending on what they're doing, maybe. Yes. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Where was I? Darth Mac for $5 says, I heard this particular gun has a history of misfiring without the trigger being pulled due to poor design. Ranos123 for $5 said the footage shows officers who shot him pistol whipping him. Then he's the same one who shot him. Please break that down. I didn't really observe any pistol whipping. Did you?
Yes, I know what they're talking about. They're talking about this. Let me share it. I have it right here. So in this part, you'll see the officer right here in the blue jeans on the end on the far right.
Mhm.
You're going to see them slapping, like using the canister to slap the guy. So watch, you're gonna see him slapping. Oh, it's the other guy. It's the guy right in front of him.
Okay.
Use the
Yeah, I see
canister
it.
slap.
I see it. Yep. I see it. Yeah,
Alright.
don't do that. Let's see. CS Bangazer said for $10 said the legitimate reason for detainment was obstructing ICE officials. Unclear. We don't know that.
Yeah.
If an officer yells gun, then any officer would be justified in shooting to prevent serious bodily harm or death. Fuck no. Some officer yelling gun is not sufficient for an officer to start firing.
No,
That would be
it's not.
incredibly dumb. Not to mention, it would eviscerate the Second Amendment completely.
It all just, you're missing context. Let's say an officer screams gun, but he's at a gun show. It's like he starts shooting everybody. It's like just the word gun does it. Even in this context, just screaming the word gun from the thing we saw didn't mean that he started shooting. It was gun, but then some other action, like the fact that he believed he heard the gunshot from this guy. So, or it has to be a serious threat to you and your safety. So it's not just the magic word gun. That doesn't make a good shoot.
Joshua Cornelius, 25 for $5 said you can support immigration enforcement without simping for bad agents. Yeah, I mean, I still support deporting them all. Catch them all, deport them all, Pokemon, gotta catch them all. You know, this is my very quest to be the very best. Gotta catch all the illegal immigrants, send them back home. Pokemon. Yeah, I'm all about that life, but we don't have to simp for agents that are bad. So or even if the government that's bad. I've disagreed with the Trump administration before on certain things, just because they did illegal things. There are laws, man. We got to follow them. But yeah, $5 from $5 from Milk Tobo 7418. Interlopers are not observers. At what point do people using whistles share responsibility for the outcome? They hinder effective communication. There's something to be said for that, but yeah.
So what? Is it that illegal? If he blowing a whistle in the street, like come on, guys. Like, really? Yeah, it's hindering blowing whistles. Lock them up. Like, where we go with this, Kurt? Where we go with this?
We need more whistle control.
Blowing whistles on a public streets is now lock them up. We get to that point? Blow whistles. ICE is right. Murder them all. They blow whistles on a public street. Like, come on.
Very good. Let's see. Okay. All right. Monkey Gamer Z official for $10 said the shooting might be bad, but I think the key issue is going to be the other agent yelling gun and acting based on that. Harad for 50 SEK. 1984. Read it, talk about it, write about it. Oh, that was from yesterday. So I think those are all the super chats from today. I believe that catches us up to today.
That was a lot of super chats too.
That was a fair amount of super chats for this channel in particular. We don't normally rake in the super chats, so I do appreciate it.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, buddy. I'm glad to always talk the law with you. This was a very fascinating case. I think it's got a lot, but I think if you guys hear the news, anytime they say we found out who made the first shot, then you know I'm coming up. You'll know what my answer is. You'll know how I come out. If it was the cop, murder. If it was the guy's P380, then I think the cop is justified. And I know either way it happens, half the country's going to be pissed off. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. And
Okay.
you're at, no matter what happens, this is already, you kind of pretty much settled with this.
Well, based on what we know, yes,
Based on what we have.
based on the information that's presently available, I don't believe whether the Sig Sauer fired first or not will change my analysis. So I don't believe that fact disposes of it for me. It might be relevant in some way, but I don't think it's just positive.
And just to also be clear, Branca is saying that it's justified, but he's hinging that on the 380 actually misfiring, and Barnes thinks it's not justified, and he hinges that on the officer firing first. So that seems to be all of our positions kind of wrapped up. Now, it's interesting because I would like to see now when we come back to it, if it is found out that the 380 fired first, would anybody's opinions change? Like if that question is answered, do our opinions change based on that answer? And I think, and I don't know, because if it doesn't happen, then I would like to see how Branca, like, let's say if they say the officer fired the first shot.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see what Branca says then about that, because then the reason why he says it was justified is gone. So what would make that shooting justified from his point of view? So it's going to be interesting. But you ready to get out of here? I got some. I'm
probably going to hang out a little bit more and try to watch some videos, because I think the chat wanted me to watch some stuff and see if it informs my opinion anymore. But I think I'm going to hang out a little bit more.
Sorry.
That's all right.
It started playing as soon as I got it. I was like, oh, the multi-language one, because even though I don't know anything that they're saying, I feel like I can sing it, baby. I can sing it. That was good, huh?
If I get another copyright strike from this, I'm going to be very salty.
From the Pokemon intro?
I'm just saying.
That's true. I got you this time now. That was just the Pokemon intro. I like the different variations of language of the language in that one. I always like that one.
Okay.
All right, my brother. Let me get out of here.
Bounce, and I'll hang out with chat for a little while.
All right. Take care, man.
All right, cool. All right, that was Nate the lawyer. I need to switch interfaces so that I can bring this up in Chrome so we can watch videos with sound. So we're going to do this real fast. So just one moment, please. Am I already in Chrome? No. Okay.